Look,
so what am I supposed to do with that?
You sound like my post-game show these days. What am I supposed to do with it? Look, I don't like to call out effort until the coach does it. This is the third time this season we've heard Jim Montgomery say that the effort wasn't there. And he was asked, why is this? It's an internal thing. This isn't a coaching thing. This isn't a problem with the upper management. This is the players. This is the guys on the ice that know what needs to be done. They've done the style of hockey that is desperation. Heck, going all the way back to the Ottawa Senators game, when Jim Montgomery said afterwards that was the most desperate we have played this season. And then they played even more desperate against Utah. And then they lay the egg against Anaheim. And then in this one, I know they got 39 shots on goal. Boston gives up the most opportunities in the National Hockey League. That was going to happen. You know what didn't happen? You didn't beat Jonas Korpisalo. That's not Jeremy Swayman. That's Jonas Korpisalo.
At least they have one of the best players in the NHL on their team, though.
Who's that?
Pastrnak.
Yeah, he's hurt. You want to go down the list of the other ones that were in the lineup?
Please.
Charlie McAvoy. You see him on the ice, T-Bone? No, he was hurt. He took a puck off the mouth. Poor guy. I think he's doing better now, though.
Played through that.
This is this is so hard to come to this conclusion, but when you hear Jim Montgomery say this multiple times, and you can hear, see, feel the frustration from Jim Montgomery every time he talks. This is a player thing, man. And I think we've said this enough by now, but now it's really evident. Like, you don't have the guys to perform the level of hockey that Jim Montgomery wants. I was talking with Fluto Shinzawa yesterday on our pregame show. He's the insider for The Athletic, because I was curious, the shift from Boston of how they were so bad last year when Jim Montgomery was there, and then he got fired. They put Joe Sacco in place. They finished fifth worst in the NHL. This season, they're second place in their division. And he said, really what it's come down to is every single player that's in the lineup has bought into the style that Marco Sturm has preached to them. Marco Sturm has told them, you want to win hockey games, you're going to have to go out there, outplay every single person that's on the ice, every single shift, be physical, go to the front of the net, win board battles. That's how we're winning hockey games. And they're second place in the NHL. Last night, there were about 5 or 6 board battles that the Blues lost that resulted in Boston standing in front of the net. It's an individual performance right now.
They stink. They're just a bad hockey team. JR said this a couple of weeks ago. He was right. Now, why is that? Dude, for every possible reason. They don't defend particularly well. They don't have high-end goaltending right now. Now, I think they have got high-end goaltenders. They're not playing at a high level. Their goal scorers aren't scoring goals. Their distributors aren't distributing. Their power play doesn't shoot. Like, it's everything. Everything is bad right now for this team. I don't believe the talent is as bad as the product that we're currently seeing. And that's what makes it frustrating, frankly. Because if they were just a bad team and we came into the season, there were no expectations, like next year for the Cardinals, I'm not going to have expectations for that team because I don't think the talent is ready to win. But the Blues had convinced us, based upon their performance under Jim Montgomery last year, with this same core in place, they're good enough to win right now. Hell, they convinced the general manager they're good enough to win right now. Otherwise, he doesn't go out and add Pius Suter. He doesn't go out and add Nick Bukestad. Like, they just go out and add the next version of Kasperi Kapanen. If they're still going through this retool the way that they were previously, they're not there anymore. At least they didn't believe so. They don't re-sign Cam Fowler if they think that this is going to be a bad season, because then if he was still on the expiring contract, you could trade him at the deadline this year, and he gets you a pretty good value. He's a good defenseman. But they're not performing to the level that is necessary. I know they're only a few points out. I don't care. This team is not playing like a playoff team. Just like the Kansas City Chiefs, my favorite team, they're 6-6, man. Their record is what they are. They're not a good football team. They go up against contenders this year. They lose every time. Every time they go up against a quality opponent, they lose the football game. The Blues are the same team.
Yep.
Like, if you just look at the number of wins, they have won 9 times they have played in 28 games. They're bad. They're a bad hockey club that makes bad on-ice decisions and loses puck battles, and they're not as physical as their opposition. They don't have as good a goaltending as the opposition. Their best players aren't as good as the best players on the opposition. Morgan Geekie was the best player on the ice last night against you once again. That mother bleeper has 100 goals in like 25 games.
Morgan Geekie and also Alex Steves. And I had to look up where Alex Steves started. He was an undrafted free agent by the Toronto Maple Leafs and was signed by Boston.
It's just bad.
Boston went out there and got a bunch of third and fourth line guys to step in because they were a team that wasn't expecting much this season. But they've gone out there and they played desperation hockey from start to finish.
The worst part of it all is it's so much worse than 2023. At least in 2023, we knew how they get out of it. All right, you trade all of these players, you're going through a retool, and you're going to have to go young. I don't know what they do now. Now they're stuck.
Yeah.
And it's not just scary for right now. It's scary for what do you do to get this thing back on track? I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
It's not even stuck with the players. It's stuck with the mindset. Like, it's 4 straight years of the same guys that have been questioned for 3/4 of the season to lack the intensity, lack the aggressiveness that the Blues want from them. And then they'll turn it on for 2 months, and then you're like, oh, hey, they are good. Like, that's the real problem. Like, yeah, you're stuck with the players, but you're also stuck with the mindset in that room that, we'll turn it on when we want to. Like, there's no fire in there compared to what Jim Montgomery is trying to provide. And that's the part that's so frustrating, because I listen to every pre-game availability, post-game availability, off-day availability of Jim Montgomery, and he is saying all of the things that results in winning hockey. He went on about a 2-minute spiel of what he wants from his offense. And he kind of joked around and said, look, we want more guys having faces that look like Jake Neighbors and Oscar Sundqvist. He said, if you want to score in the National Hockey League, you need to be parked in between the 2 dots. He said, if you're in between the 2 dots, 1, you're in a great spot to generate offense, and 2, you're in an even better spot to not get beat defensively. The first goal that was scored last night for Boston, that was a bad line change. You didn't dump the puck in far enough, and then you're slow to the bench. You get on the ice, you're flat-footed, and then Boston just zooms past you and goes in for a 2-on-1. 2 of the goals that they scored last night started in the offensive zone. You got pushed off the puck twice. Boston just basically slowly paced their way out of their own zone, held onto it in the neutral zone, made a cross-ice pass, and then the player skated into the offensive zone, through the neutral zone, took the shot past Jordan Binnington. There's no contested defensive play against the opposition right now.
Blue 42 set Pizza Hut says on the text line 314-399-9646.
That's a new one.
I'm not a big hockey guy. I was wondering, can you guys explain to us why the Blues seemed to be so good last year and now they're like the worst team in the league? Good luck. That's my honest to God opinion.
They were desperate.
That being said, though, yeah,
they were desperate.
Hockey is different than so many other sports, and I have just come to terms with this. It's about effort.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard to know which teams are going to be good, and it's why coaches continue to get recycled in the league, because it's about who can motivate these guys to go out and play the way that is necessary for 82 games. Baseball is not really that way. Baseball is not necessarily, honestly, baseball is the opposite. If you try harder, your results get worse, because then you start pressing and then you start doing a bunch of stuff that actually gets you into a funk. It's when you're playing freely and when you're playing, as Jordan Walker says, with flexibility, that's when you start to lock in. So baseball's not that way. Football can, to a degree, be that way, but for most teams with how pass-happy the league is, it's about execution over, like, motivation for a lot of guys. Defense is sometimes that way, especially run defense can be about motivation. Basketball, for the most part, is about execution because of how much the game has spread out. Hockey's really the one sport among the big sports that we have that's truly about, are you willing to go to battle tonight?
Yeah.
And the Blues have not been prepared, and I'm not blaming Army for this. At a certain point, it's on the players when it's the same issue every single season. They have not been prepared to go to battle often enough in 2025, and that's what changed for them last year. They started playing with more urgency, and I think it's one of those words that I don't like to use, like the motivation thing. I think is overplayed in most sports. I don't think it is in hockey. In hockey, I think it is True.
Yeah, it's a mindset. Like, were they so good last year in the second half? Because they came out of the Four Nations break and they looked at the schedule and the standings and said, hey, we're still in this. We just need to go on a run. And guess what? They played every single game like their backs were against the wall. They're not doing that right now. You know, I heard a quote from Jared Bednar last night because they lost to the New York Islanders. It's only their second regulation loss this season. And somebody asked, you know, what has your team done to put themselves into this position to be so dominant? And he said, our roster decides to go into every single game like they're 0-0 overall record. And he said, it's worked for us this season. It's a mindset. Yes, they've got McKenna and McCarr, and I understand that. But they also have Brock Nelson, who's 32 years old. They also have a ton of other guys. Like McKenna didn't even get a point last night for Colorado when they lost. They are a team that looks at every single game and says, this is on the schedule, and we're going to go out there and we're going to dominate them.
And I'll add this as well, because you brought up Colorado. If you don't have that elite talent, you have to give that much more effort, because then you really have to work for those goals. Like Jim Montgomery said, get between the dots. What do you got to do for that? You got to work. You got to take sticks to the back, get cross-check, potentially take a puck that hits you in the face, potentially a slapper from Colton Branco that hits you. Like, it's hard.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is that's not to say like a McDavid or a McKinnon don't work and go out and give good effort. But on a night where maybe some of the guys aren't really feeling it, those guys are so elite with their talent that they can single-handedly carry you through at least one game when it's absolutely necessary.
Look at how Boston won last night. They didn't have Pasternak in there. Pasternak's the guy that carried them. Look at how they won. They won by going to the front of the net, winning board battles, putting pucks in right area, and finishing. And it's the one thing the Blues haven't done.
Geeky. That's part of it. How many? He has 22 goals?
21, I think. He scored his 21st, 22nd.
That's ridiculous. He's finishing. Now, that's going to regress. At a certain point in time, he's not going to finish at the same level that he is right now, but it's allowing him to carry the roster. And even with Pasternak out, somebody is stepping up. The Blues haven't had anybody step up to that degree all season long. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you guys would like to get your thoughts in on the Blues or something else, you can get that in on the Air Comfort Service text line at 314-399-9646. You can also check us out. We are on the Right to YouTube page now. Thank you to Bradford Bruns for doing that at youtube.com/101 ESPN STL. In about 15 minutes, the Cardinals seem to be at the center of the Major League Baseball trade universe as that starts to really kick off in earnest next week at the Major League Baseball winter meetings. We'll give you our thoughts on that coming up in 15 minutes. But next, what did we learn about the NFC's playoff picture as the Lions took down the Cowboys last night in pretty significant fashion? We'll talk about it next here on BK and Ferrario.
The Spread Zone, where sports betting meets reckless optimism, questionable logic, and the occasional stroke of genius. With hosts Anthony Stalter, Tim McKernan, and Scott Rizzuto. Check out the latest from the Spread Zone at 101ESPN.com or the 101 mobile app. The Spread Zone is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more.
Tanner Hendrickson here in Missouri. Your moment is finally here because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live in your state. Now, you can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more, all from your phone, all safe, secure, and easy to use. And right now, new Missouri customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. I'll be getting in on the action all weekend long with college football and the NFL. So join me and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TANNER. That's code TANNER as new Missouri customers. Bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code TANNER. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Broadcasting live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the ENB Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
One Scott Alex, keep on BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We'll talk about the Cardinals being at the center of the Major League Baseball trade universe coming up here in about 10 minutes. But, Alex, big game last night, Lions versus the Cowboys. Lions come out victorious, 44-30. I was dead wrong on this one. I thought the Cowboys would find a way to win it. Their offense had too many turnovers, and their defense just could not get a stop. We're in Wayno's Fantasy League, Alex. We're going up against Adam Wainwright himself this week.
Ooh.
He had Jahmyr Gibbs, 3 touchdowns on the ground.
Good.
Another 75 yards through the air.
Yeah, so we've lost.
Also had the kicker.
Also had Brandon Aubrey, 5 for 5. Broke multiple records, including a 63-yarder in that one. He had CeeDee Lamb, who had a much better game than our guy, George Pickens, last night. And he also had Jameson Williams, who finished with 7 for 96.
Yeah, it's over.
Not feeling good about our chances this week, boys. That being said, what did we learn last night about the NFC's playoff picture? Because the Lions basically put an end to the Cowboys' quest to get back into this thing. Lions still very much on the outside looking in, though. What did yesterday do for them and for the NFC's playoff picture, Alex?
I mean, it keeps the Lions alive. I got to be 100% honest. I don't think the Lions are a playoff team. They lost Branch again. Or they lost Branch for the rest of the season, it seems like. I think they're saying it's an Achilles tear. Oh. So if that's the case, I mean, now you've lost another secondary piece on that defense.
Yep, it's been updated. Torn Achilles.
Yeah, so, I mean, you have to outscore your opponents every single game. And, I mean, look, I think the Lions have elite playmakers in terms of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs, along with David Montgomery. But, like, if I'm looking at the field, it comes down to the Lions or the 49ers. And, frankly, I think the 49ers have a better chance of making the playoffs versus the Lions. Are they out of it? No. I think I saw the percentage if they won last night. It was at 55% that they make the playoffs. But you're talking about one spot because I think the Seahawks, I think the Rams are better than the Lions. Obviously, the Packers and Bears are. Somebody's winning that NFC South, probably the Buccaneers. And then with the Cowboys loss, it's just going to be the Eagles. So you're talking Lions or 49ers. And frankly, if I look at the schedule and how those teams are playing, I think I would give the slight edge to the 49ers versus the rest of the way this season.
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, we can officially eliminate the Cowboys. They are not going to get in. Even though their schedule is easier, I thought their defense was fixed, and as we saw last night, not fixed. Okay, still major problems. But how am I supposed to get excited about the Lions? Yes, their offense has had its struggles at times. I thought it was weird how they decided to give Campbell the playbook all of a sudden for their offense. And yes, it looked good last night. I'm not going to just overlook the fact they gave up 30 points in that contest, because that's been what their Achilles heel has been over the last 2 seasons. Will your defense be able to get enough stops? And last night the answer was, yeah, okay, I guess they did. But you can't give up 30 points constantly and hope that you're going to win, especially when you start to go up against better teams in the NFC. So, no, I don't think the Lions are in. I think the 49ers are a better football team, and they're getting healthier at the right time. They've got Purdy back. Kittle's returned from his injury. I think San Fran's the team that's going to end up holding on to that 7 seed.
I agree San Fran's probably going to get in. They're 9-4 right now. They've got the tiebreaker over the Lions. Like, you look at it, the first tiebreaker is conference record. The 49ers are 8-2 against the conference. The Lions are 5-4 against the conference. That's just a lot to make up if you're Detroit. I don't think they're going to be able to jump them. So that means they're basically 2 games up on Detroit right now with, 4 games left to play. That's tough, especially looking at their schedule, where the Lions still have to travel on the road at LA next week, and they still have a game at Minnesota. Not easy because of that defense, and then at Chicago as well. So they've got to make up multiple games with those 4 games left on the schedule. Good luck with that one. I think the team they're directly competing against is actually Green Bay. Green Bay is the one that I find to be really interesting in this spot because they are 6-2-1 against the conference. They have 2 games left against Chicago. They also have to travel on the road at Denver, not an easy thing to do. And they have a game against Baltimore, which I just don't know what to make of that one, honestly. I think they're kind of mirror images of one another where I think both teams are good, but then I watch them on Sundays, and I don't think either of them are particularly good. So the Packers might actually be the team that the Lions are directly competing against. Here's the problem for Detroit in that scenario. They lost head-to-head not once, but twice against Green Bay. So the Packers have a significant tiebreaker against Detroit as well. All of this leads me ultimately to the same place as you guys. I think they're on the outside looking in. So last night, while exciting and really fun to watch, it kept the Lions in it for at least another week. I just don't think they're going to be able to have what it takes to get themselves over the top this year.
I'll tell you what's going to be fascinating in that division. Not so much the Packers and the Lions. How about the Bears and the Lions? So the Bears obviously are in first place, but the Bears play the Browns. That's most likely a win. But then they go head-to-head against the Packers, and then they play the 49ers, and then they wrap up the season against the Lions. So, like, if you look at it and you say, okay, they'll beat the Browns, that's 10 wins, but then they lose to the Packers, they lose to the 49ers. If the Lions can get their business done over the next 3 weeks, you might be talking about a playoff spot between the Lions and Bears at the end of the regular season to get in. So I think that NFC South division is probably not the NFC South division. Yeah, the North division is probably going to be the most fascinating one out of all of them right now. And I originally thought it was going to be the NFC West, but my gut tells me maybe all 3 of them are going to be playoff teams and maybe one falls out of that NFC North.
Yeah, I mean, Bears are interesting. They've got 2 games left against Green Bay head-to-head. If they lose both of those, they've got another game against San Francisco on the road. They could absolutely lose that one as well. I have not mentioned the game against Cleveland. Let's assume that they win. That would put them at 10-6 going into that final week. Guess who they play?
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions.
And then that's why the Lions
won the first game against them.
Lions play the Rams. Assume that's a loss. Then they play the Steelers at home.
Let's assume those are wins.
Vikings on the road.
You're 10-6.
It's going to come
and
down
then
to
you come down to that final week head-to-head against Chicago. If the Lions win, they have the tiebreaker, but it won't ultimately matter because they're a game up on them. So the Bears would have to win that one head-to-head. That would be your game of the week. So, yeah, after all of this, we got to the actual team, which is the team that is currently the number 1 seed in the NFC, and it's probably going to come down to the Bears versus the Lions. That being said, though, man, if the Bears win either of those games against Green Bay or the game against the 49ers,
it's over.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the Lions just have so little wiggle room here to be able to get themselves back into this. Man, what a strange place we find ourselves in. The Lions are on the outside looking in on the NFC. The Chiefs are on the outside looking in the AFC. The Texans are on the outside looking in. The Bills are the 7 seed in the AFC. The Ravens are only in right now by virtue of the fact that their division is horrible.
I was going to say, and that could change this weekend.
It's by default. It's not because they're like a deserving playoff team. I was listening to somebody talk about this yesterday. It's something we briefly have brought up in the past. I think this might be the first year that we are seeing the return of the greatest bargain in all of professional sports, which is the rookie quarterback contract. Because you look at some of the teams that have been able to rise up to the top of the standings. It's Drake May with the Patriots. It's Bo Nix with the Denver Broncos. It's he's not on a rookie level deal, but it's Daniel Jones on a cheap deal with the Indianapolis Colts. It's the Bears who have been able to build around Caleb Williams. It's the Packers who are doing this on a, relatively speaking, cheaper deal with Jordan Love. The 49ers still haven't had to have that full cap hit kick in for Brock Purdy just yet. Meanwhile, you look at some of the teams that are underperforming, it's those teams that have paid their quarterbacks already and are getting hit with the $40+ million cap hit right now. We went through a few years where it felt like, okay, that doesn't matter anymore. Like even the best teams with the best quarterbacks, they're just going to be able to build these rosters finally because a few quarterbacks hit, they actually worked out well, and the teams have been able to construct around them well. It reminds me of what we saw with the Eagles when they had Carson Wentz, and they won that Super Bowl with Nick Foles, but it was a team that was constructed around Wentz on that rookie level wage scale contract. We had just gone a few years without seeing this because most of the quarterbacks had stunk in recent seasons. And now you finally have had a few that are actually hitting on their rookie deals.
Yeah, and it's wild to think that this is the year you do it because like the last year, I would say, not the last two, but last year, I really felt like the Chiefs were flawed, right? Like I felt like the Chiefs' biggest issue wasn't their quarterback that they were spending money on. And honestly, he's at a pretty cheap deal from what the rest of the quarterbacks are. But it was that it was roster malpractice around him with his wide receiver room.
But that's what has to happen.
Exactly.
When you pay that quarterback, you have to skimp elsewhere. You've got to go cheaper. So it requires you to be worse at these other positions. Whereas like the Broncos, for example, they can pay to keep their entire defense intact and be totally elite on that side of the football because they're paying, pennies to their quarterback right now.
Yeah, and that was like the Chiefs 2 years ago or last year was the year that it really felt like you were going to see that hit them, and it didn't, which was weird. And yet this year, I think they had a better offense, and yet they still are the team that's somehow on the outside looking in. But you're right. It circles down to why did we not see these rookie quarterbacks take off? It's because we saw like Zach Wilson get drafted, and that guy was awful at football. Like that was the big storyline. These teams were missing on their first-round picks, or you had a couple of teams where it was they would take, or I guess Trey Lance was a first-round pick. Lance was another one of those where they just whiffed on it. Now, they got lucky that they ended up drafting Mr. Irrelevant in Brock Purdy and ended up succeeding with it. But, yeah, that rookie quarterback contract is the best thing in sports.
He's also kind of irrelevant now because I think Mac Jones has played better than Brock Purdy this season after watching last week.
And you
Mac Jones is another example, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Add into this, I know there's been a lot of conversation, and I've been somebody that has thrown this in there as well. Like Tom Brady never missed the playoffs in his prime. Right, that's something that people are going to talk about a lot if Mahomes does end up missing it this year. Like that's another tiebreaker in favor of Brady being better than Mahomes if you're interested in that debate at all. The thing that's different is that the rookie wage scale didn't exist for most of Tom Brady's prime. Tom Brady's like up until when rookie wage scale, I think, went into effect in like 2014, 2015, something like that. So for most of Tom Brady's career, the rookies were guys like Sam Bradford that were getting, crazy amounts of money. And so that he was going up against rookie level quarterbacks that were making similar against the cap to what Tom Brady was making. And that meant that the gap was not as wide as it is right now. Now, like Mahomes, $30+ million against the cap. Meanwhile, Bo Nix is like $5 million. So that allows teams to do some seriously different stuff around them. And then you add in the fact that the Chiefs were able to retain Chris Jones, for example, who has a $30 million cap hit, and boom, that's half of your cap is tied into two players.
And then when you pay the quarterback, you can't miss on your first-round picks.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
We talk about the Rams. Why? They're paying Stafford. Why are they having success? They nailed their first 2-round picks, I should say. First and second-round pick 2 years ago. Jared Verse, first-round pick, been a stud for him. Fisk, who was taken in the second round as teammate, stud at the nose tackle spot. There you go.
And meanwhile, the Chiefs, like they hit on that 2022 class, I guess it would have been, when they traded Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And they were able to ride that for a few years. Now those guys are starting to get paid. They've missed on a couple other draft picks recently, and when you do, this is what happens. Remember the Saints in the Drew Brees era? Drew Brees was always amazing. But they missed on a bunch of draft picks, but then they had this unbelievable draft where they got like Alvin Kamara. They got their starting left tackle in that draft, a couple other guys that ended up becoming significant contributors to them. And that's when they started going on a run again. And they were finally able to rebuild their roster. That's what you need. You've got to stack up these draft picks when you're up against it with your highly paid quarterback. And we're starting to see in so many different ways, the NFL is reverting back to what it once was. The running game is more important than it has been in recent seasons. These rookie wage scale quarterbacks are once again coming back to prominence. This is all cyclical. It happens every 5-7 years in the NFL where things change, and we're going through a significant time of change once again in the NFL. In 15 minutes, we'll get into Ask Us Anything. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything, sports or otherwise. But next, Cardinals find themselves once again at the center of the Major League Baseball trade universe. They're going to take advantage of what's available for them at the winter meetings next week. We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN is powered by Kaufman Townsley, St. Louis's injury lawyers. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Blues fans, get ready. The Last Minute Blues podcast is going live at Hot Shots in Fenton on Tuesday, December 16th from 6 to 7:30, all in support of Operation Food Search.
Bring a canned or non-perishable food donation and score one of the brand new Last Minute Blues podcast stickers. Donate big and you'll have the chance to win big, like a signed Jordan Binnington jersey, tickets to multiple upcoming Blues games, and even a chance to potentially play our game, Good Puck or Bad Puck, for a shot at an autographed puck signed by either a current Blues favorite or a not-so-favorite from the past.
Yeah, and from 6 to 6:45, we are going to be collecting cans and giving stuff away. And then at around 6:45, we'll start the live podcast. Me, Donnie, and Jeremy Rutherford hosting a live edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast featuring a few special guests you're not going to want to miss.
Plus, Hot Shots will have plenty of drink specials during the event, so come thirsty and come ready to talk Blues hockey with us as we will be helping families in need at the same time.
We hope to see you there. Get all of the details on the live Last Minute Blues podcast happening on December 16th at Hot Shots Fenton, now on 101ESPN.com.
Today, it's the American Championship game. Pre-game at 6:30, kickoff at 7. This is where the NCAA plays. 101 ESPN. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
Beatdown in Beantown. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Last night at TD Garden, Boston trounced the Blues 5-2. St. Louis has dropped 8 of its past 11 games, entering tomorrow's tussle with Ottawa. Puck drop set for 6 p.m. on 101 ESPN. NFL, Detroit begins Week 14 by roaring past Dallas 44-30. Jahmyr Gibbs tallying 3 rushing TDs, adding 77 receiving yards. Our featured matchup Sunday is Colts-Jags. Tomorrow, college-wise, conference championship tilts include Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Alabama, plus BYU, Texas Tech. The Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet plus Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. We'll get to ask us anything here in about 10 minutes. The Cardinals appear to be at the center of the trade universe once again. Buster Olney and Jeff Passan of ESPN.com put together their winter meeting preview, which is going to start taking place next week. It begins on Monday in Orlando, Florida. And this is really where baseball's offseason activity begins, Alex. I know the Cardinals have kicked things off prior to Thanksgiving by trading Sonny Gray out to Boston. You've seen the non-tenders, all of those different things. But the big stuff typically takes place right around this time of the year. Dylan Cease going to Toronto. There are a lot of storylines. There's a storyline about Kyle Schwarber potentially being interested in going to Cincinnati. We'll see how much that is real versus fake next week. It sounds like he may be the thing that's gumming up the market right now. There are conversations aplomb about the St. Louis Cardinals and what they're going to do in the trade market. Those will begin again in earnest next week at the winter meetings. This is what Jeff Passan had to say, though, about Brendan Donovan in particular. There's a word that he uses, by the way, Alex, that we both had to look up this morning to find out. Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing?
Jeff, you can't be throwing out words like that. That's
Grab
too
your
big of a word.
dictionaries, everyone.
No, just grab your Bradford Bruns.
The Brendan Donovan market remains conflagrant as St. Louis considers whether its rebuild will include him or the hefty return that he could fetch. Now, for those of you that needed to pull out a dictionary the way that Alex and I did.
First of all, I thought he cussed at me, and it's like, don't do that, Jeff.
He's saying that the Brendan Donovan market is ablaze. It's on fire. It's significant.
Why couldn't
it's
you have
robust.
just wrote that? Just wrote
he
on
uses
fire.
a lot of words.
Yeah, but stop it, Jeff.
Where'd Jeff go to school?
I think he was a Syracuse guy, if I'm not
Oh, yeah, he's really showing off
Stop
the
it,
education
Jeff.
there.
Nobody needs to see that.
I'm not positive on that.
If it's Syracuse.
Syracuse.
Yeah, I was
Got
those Syracuse guys, they know the big words.
Us Lindenwood guys know the big words, too.
Originally from Cleveland. I did not know that. I knew he lives
I thought he was
now
from
in Kansas
Kansas
City.
City.
He lives in Kansas City. His first job was at the Star. But
Us
he's
Lindenwood guys can
originally from
use big words. We just got to look it up first.
Never heard you use them.
So anyways,
Use it all the time.
the Brendan Donovan market is ablaze. And the Cardinals, according to Jeff Passan, are considering whether the rebuild will include him or the hefty return that he would fetch. To me, Alex, that's the decision that needs to be made next week. You can take your time on some of these other things. Like if you wait on Wilson Contreras to find out where Pete Alonso's going and to find out where Kyle Schwarber's going, teams are interested in those guys before they want to pivot to Wilson Contreras. That's fine. You can do that. If you want to wait or need to wait on Bregman before you can make a decision on Arenado and before other teams really, more importantly, make a decision on Arenado, fine. Next week is when a decision needs to be made one way or the other on Brendan Donovan, though. You've got to choose. Are we keeping him and probably, in my opinion, at least re-signing him, extending him, or are we trading him? What's your read on this right now?
I mean, my read is he's going to be gone, and he should be gone. Like, that's the part that frustrated me a little bit when I was reading it, and I don't want to get pre-mad at Chaim Bloom. It's a new regime. I shouldn't get pre-mad here.
Shocker. You
But-
being pre-mad?
But, like, if the market is conflagrant, why are we even considering it with Brendan Donovan? Like, there's no consideration. If every team wants Brendan Donovan and everybody is fighting over it, and the return, because I know that's what's really the determining factor here, if the return matches what they want, then there's no consideration. He doesn't need to be a part of the rebuilding plans for the Cardinals, because in a year he's probably going to get traded again, and then the following year, and then when he's up for free agency, this team's probably going to be in their winning window, and I don't know what Brendan Donovan is going to look like. This is the year that they should be going into the winter meeting saying, we are moving Brendan Donovan. The question is, how are we going, or what are we getting in return from the team that desperately wants him? And right now, if there are 29 other teams that are saying we want Brendan Donovan, then you need to be moving him at the winter meetings. And there's no questions. There's no if, and, ors, or buts about it. This is a rebuild. He's the biggest piece that can turn this thing around. It's just you're going to have to really manage this market and make sure you're getting the best return you can.
Yeah, I just view this as he's trying to leverage this right now.
Which he should.
You know, there is a scenario where I think he's back. Now, do you extend him? That I'm not as convinced of. But I think there is a scenario where he's back, and that's just because you don't get the offer you want. Yes, you can have multiple teams bidding, but if multiple teams don't want to meet what you're looking for, which I think is probably a package that starts with a top 100, if not fringe top 100 prospect. If you don't get that in any of these offers, yeah, Chaim Bloom should be telling people, hey, if you're not going to pony up, we will keep Brendan Donovan, because it's not like he's a rental, right? We have him for more control. He does fit into our locker room well as our leader. So if you did want to extend him, like BK's brought up, if you keep him, okay, yeah, then we'll just do that as well. So I think this is just Chaim trying to leverage all these teams right now. I think that's why this keeps getting leaked through the media, is Chaim likes some of the offers that are on the table, but he's trying to pit a couple of teams against each other to really get them to lift up their offer a little bit more.
Can I ask a quick follow-up on that, though?
Probably not, but I'll allow it.
So why would you keep him if you're not extending him? Because your leverage is at its greatest place today.
Agreed.
And you will get less and less in return as you continue along. We see this annually at the deadline. Position players are at their most valuable right now. They are less valuable at the deadline than they are in the offseason. We saw this last year as you look specifically to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Like, their guys just did not get them much in return. And they were really good players. Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, better hitters, honestly, than what Brendan Donovan brings to the table. Now, Brendan Donovan maybe fits more teams because of his versatility, so maybe that's the case for him. But I don't think the value goes up at the deadline from where he is at right now. And you have less control as time goes along for Brendan Donovan. So if you're not extending him, I actually do think there's some urgency to trade him this offseason. Like, now is the time where you've got to capitalize on that market. And I don't get the sense that the Cardinals think they're going to be good in the next 2 years. Like, maybe in 2027 you start to turn this thing around, but that's probably more of like a playoff contender. Like, you're hoping to get back to the playoffs, or at least competing for that, getting close to it. And next year, definitely not. So what's the case for keeping him beyond this offseason if you're not extending him?
So I agree. You are not getting as much now as you would at the trade deadline. I still think if you don't extend him, you would still get pretty good return for him at the deadline if you trade him, because it's 2 postseason runs. You can still pit teams against him. It's desperate because he won't be making a lot of money. So a team like the Guardians, for example, if they need offense, they can't go out and trade for a big name. They could acquire a Brendan Donovan type. I agree. It's not going to be as much as it is now. I don't think it's going to be a significant drop off in your return.
But if you're not getting as much then as you are right now, then why wait?
Because you didn't get the offers you wanted in the offseason.
But then what you're saying is you're claiming you will still get even less than you will right now.
I agree, but it's not going to be significant, right? I don't think the value just completely drops off the table. I think you have to hold a firm line if you're Chaim Bloom right now, because you don't have to trade him. And then you go back at the deadline and you see if you can get closer, if not up to that line that you're at now, and see if you can get that in return. Because, again, you will pit teams against each other again at the trade deadline to where you could get still a good return for a Brendan Donovan. I don't think it's as simple as you either trade him now or you lock him up and extend him.
Yeah.
I think there's a path where he's back and then he's traded at the trade deadline.
I don't. I mean, I don't think there should be, maybe is the better way for me to frame it. Maybe it's possible, but I don't think that would be a good way to handle this. I think you need to either trade him this offseason or extend him. And they could choose which direction that they want to go in that regard. I think the best path is probably, given what we've seen their plan is, it's to trade Brendan Donovan. But if they decide to extend him and he's a part of your core and you want to build around him with J.J. Weatherholt and Ivan Herrera, Alec Burleson, like I'm fine with that as well. I mean, when I hear all of these insiders saying, hey, Brendan Donovan has a massive, robust, conflagrant market right now,
ablaze.
It's hard for me to believe that there's not significant offers on the table and they're just trying to get like the sweetener added to the pot. So I think Donnie's traded next week.
Yeah, that's the part for me. Like, if you're going to continue to tell me with all of these insiders that everybody wants Brendan Donovan, I cannot believe that somebody's not willing to pay up what Chaim Bloom is asking for. Agreed. And if they're not, maybe Chaim Bloom's asking for too much. But I'm kind of in the camp of what BK was with Nolan Arenado. I just don't think it makes any sense to come back with Brendan Donovan this year. Like, you're shipping out these pieces. Get the best offer you can, which should be a top 100 prospect that fits into your plans moving forward. Get the best offer you can and move on from it so you can expedite this rebuild that you're going through.
By the way, you can check out the latest edition of the Redbird Report. We talked a little bit about this, talked about the offseason plans as we head into the winter meetings. It's up on YouTube right now at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. By the way, if you like the Redbird Report, even if you watch it, do me a huge favor. Subscribe to the podcast. That will do us a lot of good. The powers that be really like when those downloads are up. So if you could do us a huge favor, download that Redbird Report. Again, even if, dirty little secret, even if you never listen to it, just subscribe to the podcast and allow it to download to your phone. That would do us a huge favor for the powers that be.
It's a disappointing
and if you could do
promo.
the same thing for the Last Minute Blues podcast.
Oh, now he just throws it in.
I think they would appreciate that as well.
Yeah,
so check out the Redbird Report. I think it's best on YouTube because we've got this awesome studio that they've allowed for all of us to be able to use. So I personally would recommend watching it over there, but download it. Download it in your podcast feed wherever you get.
Click on those notifications too, so it just ding, ding every time you get, hey, new podcast, ding.
Big part here. Download and subscribe to that podcast. Do it for the BK and Ferrario podcast as well, if you guys don't mind.
All right. For everything that includes me, BK, and T-Bone.
That's right. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Ask us anything coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
Conflagrant.
You can now listen to 101 ESPN on demand. Get caught up on all our shows and podcasts at 101ESPN.com or on the 101 mobile app. 101 ESPN podcasts are presented by the Schaefer Door Company.
If it is time for you to unlock your inner champion, do so today at Victory Men's Health. You can check them out online at victorymenshealth.com. That's where you can read more about all that they have to offer, whether you're dealing with erectile dysfunction, low testosterone symptoms, weight loss goals that you're trying to meet, especially as we get closer to the start of the new year. You want to get those resolutions in, and you want to make it attainable this year. Well, you can do that with Victory Men's Health. They can help you out. They have 4 great locations across the St. Louis area. They've done this for me, they can do the same for you. My favorite part about it is that the appointments are super easy to book. I know all of us get so busy in our personal lives. Sometimes you can't call to a place between 9 and 5. Well, guess what? You don't have to with Victory Men's Health. Go over to their website, victorymenshealth.com. Click on the top right corner of the page. It's the Book Now tab. Put in your name, email, phone number. Tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you. And then tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion. They'll get back with you. They'll set up that first appointment today. Unlock your inner champion at Victory Men's Health and online at victorymenshealth.com.
ESPN has your chance to win a 4-pack of passes to Monster Jam, January 17th and 18th at the Dome at America's Center. Get ready to cheer, scream, and be amazed as massive Monster Jam trucks and world champion drivers take over St. Louis for the ultimate day packed with high-flying action and jaw-dropping stunts. Get all the info and enter to score a free 4-pack of tickets for Monster Jam now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app. Live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the E&B Granite Studios, you're tuned into BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. You've got questions, we may have the answers. Maybe. It's BK and Ferrario's Questions and Answers on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Bradford Brown's back in the studio for us today. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything. We got this on the YouTube chat from Bacon Wrapped Wiener. Do you guys think that T-Bone ties his tie or just loosens it and reuses it over and over? I'm a loosen and reuser.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
For a tie?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Instead of actually tying it every time.
Why wouldn't you tie it every time?
You can't do it more than once.
Really?
I can. I just choose not to.
Oh, yeah, no, I tie it every time.
I do too.
Because I always try and get the perfect, like, Windsor knot. So I can't.
And then they got to do it like multiple
Yeah,
times.
yeah, I don't like, because if I try and like loosen it and put it back over my head, it's not going to be correct. And I'm like OCD on that. So I'm going to keep doing it until it's right.
Yeah, I tie every time. I'm not a guy that's going to have it.
You
loose
Windsor or
just
double Windsor?
I guess I'm just a Windsor. What's the double Windsor?
Oh, the double Windsor
really
is when
thick.
it's really thick. I like those, but the problem is you always have to have your jacket buttoned because the tie's short and you look like Chris Farley.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from Moistest Alou.
Come on, man. I don't like that word.
What's your favorite holiday activities with the family?
Christmas lights right now.
Which one?
Honestly, we do all of them. So we did Yogi Bear. What is that? I forget what it's called. Up by Six Flags. But that Yogi Bear National Park. Yes.
No, not Yellowstone.
Not Yellowstone. Whatever the park is next to Six Flags, that's the Yogi Bear one. I can't think of what it's called.
I don't think anybody heard that but us.
Jellystone.
I think that's
Jellystone.
Bradford in our ear.
Yeah.
But that was funny.
Yeah. Yellowstone. No, not Yellowstone, Bradford. We're not driving out
Did
there.
you go see it with a picnic basket?
No, the Jellystone Park, we do that one. We do Tillis Park, where you drive through your cars. And then we'll drive around like subdivisions, like that Candy Cane Lane. Down on the hill, we'll go through that one. Our girls are just obsessed with Christmas lights, so any chance we do those, I love getting them.
We're going to the brewery tomorrow.
Of course.
We're going down and doing the for the lights, man.
Oh.
Anheuser-Busch.
I just assumed you were going to the brewery.
I thought you just meant you were going to the, what's the one where you get pizza every
I should have
Friday.
specified. It's a fair point. We're going to AB to see the lights over there tomorrow night.
They do a really good job.
I like going over to the zoo. They do good stuff.
Zoo's good.
The aquarium for some of the holidays does some really cool stuff inside as well. St. Louis doesn't. Botanical Gardens is
I think
fantastic.
Theirs
is really good.
I love the zoo. The zoo is always fun for the girls. We used to. They don't do this anymore, but they used to do carriage rides, like horse-drawn carriage rides through Tillis Park. They used to take Katie on them all the time when we were dating. They don't do them as much anymore, so you could drive through in your car. But any lights that you can go through, I love it. And then we don't usually do this before Christmas. It's after Christmas, but like in the winter season, we always go to Steinberg's. We go out there and ice skate just with the girls with us. So that's always fun as well.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything. From the 314, have you seen viewership ratings plummet without Believe It or Not the past couple of weeks?
Yes.
Can we be honest here? What happened yesterday?
You forgot.
Not just me.
Did I not say that during a commercial break?
You did.
He wasn't listening.
You did.
He was on his computer, and I said, man, we're not doing Believe It or Not again.
And we both walked out, and I said, he can't multitask, can he?
T-Bone goes, he's not listening to you.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We all forgot during the rundown.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday, we all forgot about Believe It or Not. I do apologize. That's the other thing. We're all kind of recovering.
Not all. Two of you are, and I'm worried mine's coming on the other side.
Week, my man.
I know.
So next week, I will make this promise. We will do Believe It or Not.
We'll sing the
next
whole
Thursday.
song.
We'll do Believe It or Not next Thursday.
I don't even know the lyrics of the whole song.
That's basically Believe It or Not.
399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line.
We should start a cameo for people.
Us anything.
That would be awesome.
From
us singing songs.
What's up, Mike Sheldon's Brandon? Happy birthday.
What's up, Shilty? This is Brandon.
So now going to the closer up 5, I see.
From the Bean Finder. Question pertains more to the fast lane maybe than you guys.
All right, well, next question.
Wrong show.
But if you have to end a show early due to an event like a Blues game, NCAA tournament, etc., being played on 101 ESPN, do you guys still get paid, or do you have to take vacation or something? Sorry for the long text. Fair question. We're all salary, so we're paid the same regardless of how much we do. At least I should speak only for myself. That's how it works for me. when I'm
the show is
if we are not on for whatever reason, we're paid for that day's show. And it's just like if you had a day off for vacation or something, or if you had a day off for a holiday and you're on salary. That's the way it works for us. So there are some days we work a lot more than our allotted amount of time, Alex.
Yeah.
And
6 months of the year.
Some days where you're not.
But I don't complain because in the other 6 months I have my show, and then that's it.
From the 618, BK, would you rather beg for the Chiefs to win this weekend or to save their season, or more pod subscribers? Dude, I am shameless. And this is a big part of my life. And I really care that we succeed professionally. By the way, got the latest numbers yesterday. Appreciate all of you guys that are listening out there. It's going well. It's going well.
Yes.
Shout out to TMA, by the way. They're crushing it in the mornings.
They're getting a little help from us, though, that 11 o'clock hour.
They're getting a lot of help from the Blues. All of us are.
Yeah.
And your pre and post games, by the way.
Please continue listening to Alex on pre and post. Keep your
T-bone.
keep your radios on in the evenings, and then keep them on throughout the day right here on 101 ESPN.
Is look 7 p.m. to midnight when hockey season's not going on, and then 7 p.m. to midnight when hockey season is going on.
To answer the question directly, 100%, please subscribe to BK and Ferrario, Redbird Report, and Last Minute Blues podcast.
I will take the Blues drafting first overall every year if that means you get more subscribers on the podcast.
From Splashback Deuce, last question here for Ask Us Anything. Do you guys like celery with ranch or peanut butter? I hate ranch, peanut butter 100%.
I hate celery.
That's not surprising.
Get the
That
hell
checks
out of
out.
here.
I'll do both, to be honest with you. It depends on what I want. Am I having this like as a meal or am I having it as a dessert?
Do you have
Because
celery as a meal? Ever?
I had more questions
not
about
as
a
a meal,
vegan
but like
dessert.
as a side, like, side with your food, celery dipped in ranch.
That's fair. I guess
Kind
the
of like
one
French
scenario
fries.
where that would make sense would be like with wings. You
Yeah.
go to some wing spots, they'll have celery or carrots.
And I always
that are
eat
with
that
ranch.
after the wings.
That's fair.
The dessert is with the peanut butter. I think peanut butter is kind of like a dessert. Like I'll do that on snacks. Katie, when she was pregnant, she would do peanut butter on a spoon because her sugar would dip and she would have to like
That would
eat
make
something.
sense.
So it's like desserts for me doing that.
That's like the only scenario in which I would do celery with some white gelatinous substance, whether ranch, blue cheese, whatever it is after wings or with wings as a side. That's it. Otherwise, there's never a scenario.
And
where I
frankly,
do that.
that's the only white gelatinous substance you should be doing celery or carrots with, because like what other dressing
would
are
be disgusting.
Yeah, like you're not doing that.
All right, he's Alex S. T-Bone. I'm BK. Bradford Brown's back in the studio for us today. It's 12:06 time check, brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers and officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Coming up next, Doug Armstrong has been very quiet, Alex. Almost too quiet. Why is that? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Kerry Davis, and you can join me and 101 ESPN this Saturday at Genesis of St. Charles for an afternoon filled with festive family fun. This Saturday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., bring the whole family by for face painting, a coffee, and a hot cocoa truck, and a special appearance by Louie and the Blue Crew. You can even get a photo with Louie in his Santa hat. Plus, I will have your chance to win 101 prizes, including a signed Blues puck. That's this Saturday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Genesis of St. Charles, located at 5601 Veterans Memorial Parkway. Get details at 101ESPN.com.
The world's largest sports book at your fingertips has arrived in Missouri. Circus Sports. It's sports betting the way it should be. With high app limits, player-friendly pricing, and exceptional customer service, Circus Sports is better for the better. From football.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis. 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return. BK BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center, presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, you got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Doug Armstrong typically makes a statement by now. We've seen this with other teams across the NHL that have struggled so far this year, Alex. Their general manager, president of hockey operations, whatever the label is for them, they come out, they address the media. Army typically does something similar. We've heard nothing from him publicly. Now, I'm not calling him out and saying, like, he's got to do this. I'm wondering why. Why is it different this time around than it has been in previous years when they have gotten off to such a sluggish start? Do you have a theory on why that's the case?
Yes, my theory is him saying something does nothing. I mean, what you said is why I think he's not talking. For the last 3 years, every season, at some point between October or November, he's had a press conference about why the team is bad, how they need to be better, and, what's going to happen if they're not better. Honestly, I don't want to say it's just like the fatigue factor of like, what's the point? I think it's just a matter of there's nothing else to say. This core that they've invested in is not performing. The coach is being upfront and honest, and it's very obvious the coach isn't going anywhere. So this is the players. And me talking isn't going to provide anything. I guarantee you he's had conversations with the players on this team. He's had conversations with the coaching staff on this team, and nothing's changed. So why is he so quiet? Because I think he's trying to find a move. I think he's going to let his actions speak for the team rather than him standing up and talking with the team. I mean, full transparency, I've reached out to have Doug Armstrong on a couple of times so far this season, and they've said Doug's not ready to talk yet. Why? Because there's nothing to say. Team's bad, not living up to their expectations, not living up to our expectations, and if something doesn't change, then roster moves will take place. It's been widely reported around the National Hockey League from Elliot Friedman, from Darren Dreger, from Chris Johnston, from Frank Saravalli, from David Pagnotta. They're looking to make moves. I loved Dreger's tweet last week that basically said Doug Armstrong doesn't keep the Louisville Slugger on his shoulder long. I think between now and December 20th, there's going to be a move, and he's waiting for that move to take place.
So I think that's definitely part of it. My theory on this is that typically when he comes out, it's because the coach has run out of things to say and or the heat is ramping up on the coach. And so instead of the coach addressing the media that day, Doug Armstrong steps in, says, it's my turn to do this. I'll take the questions. And more often than not, part of that state of the team address is I'm backing my coach. Typically, that's the way that it goes. There's no reason to do that this time around. Nobody's questioning Jim Montgomery. We've seen what the contract looks like. It was like a 5-year commitment. Mm-hmm. They're not firing Jim Montgomery. He's not the problem. The problem is the players, and he's made statements in the past that are exactly what we're seeing today. So what is there left to say? To me, Doug Armstrong's statement will be the actions that he makes. I don't know when those are coming. I don't know what the timeline looks like for that. I know this. In 2 weeks, the rosters freeze. Mm-hmm. So at some point in the next 2 weeks, I would anticipate if this continues, something happens. So there's nothing to say publicly for Doug Armstrong this time around. I don't even... For fans, what would you want him to hear? You want him to yell and scream about how there's a lack of effort? Well, the coach is already saying that. So why should the general manager come out when it's not going to accomplish anything this time around? All it does is just add another voice screaming into the void when, hey man, his job is really to go out there and make the actions that will support those words.
And to be blunt, Jim Montgomery has essentially said everything Doug Armstrong is going to say.
Exactly.
And that's the head coach. And how have they responded? They haven't. So why would Doug Armstrong, it's funny, Pat Maroon was talking about closed-door meetings on NHL Network the other day and how they work, and he brought up the one in 2019, and he basically laid out that, Doug Armstrong came into the locker room and before the players-only meeting, and Doug Armstrong took a hockey stick and broke a television and, was telling everybody they're going on waivers, and that's not what woke the players up. It was the players deciding that they need to step up and figure it out. He said that Jay Bomeister stood up, Petrangelo, O'Reilly, Steen, and they responded from that with Craig Berube taking over as the head coach. There's nothing he's going to do that's going to make a difference. And honestly, he's probably looking at this saying, I know what this team is, and I just got to wait for another team. The asks are out there, I would assume, because this has been reported for about 3 weeks now that the Blues are calling teams saying they're open for business. The asks are out there. The requests are out there. Doug's waiting for the other team to say, yeah, let's do this. And that's where it seems that they're at right now. And the hard part is if you look at how congested everything is in the National Hockey League, I don't know if teams are ready to make moves yet.
I'll say, and the other part, too, is he can come out and talk, and then if he doesn't make any moves, then what? It all was just kind of words, right? And, like, that's where it's tough is it's whether it's because the standings are clustered, he can't make a move, or it's because there's trade protection attached to all these guys. It's going to be hard for him to find a move. So there is no real benefit to him speaking outside of what BK said. He's mostly just speaking to the void. And maybe it would help for fans to hear a different voice for once, and it's not just Jim Montgomery, but it won't mean anything. And he spoke once, I think, this year, and it was to NHL Network, and it was more of a Team Canada thing than anything. But he did talk about the Blues, and everything he said back then, like a month ago, has still held true for him. They had nothing to fall back on. They still have nothing to fall back on, right? Our best players aren't our best players. Their best players still haven't been their best players. So everything he said a month ago in like 2 questions that he was asked from NHL Network are still reigning true for the St. Louis Blues.
He's T-Bone. That's Alex. I'm BK. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into our football pick'em. But next, we have some news in college football. The Penn State coaching search appears to be nearing its end. We'll tell you who they look to be finalizing a contract with and why this probably should have always been the answer to begin with. Next year on 101 ESPN.
It's time for another moment in Blues history.
On this day back in 2000, the Blues would blank the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, picking up their 18th win of the season. The only goal scored was by Daniel Corso on the power play. Michael Handzus and Jochen Hesch would both get the assist. In between the pipes would be Roman Turek, stopping all 19 shots.
This date in Blues history is powered by Classic Air Care.
Make your life more comfortable for all your HVAC, plumbing, and electrical needs. ClassicAirCare.com.
ESPN has your shot to score a pair of tickets to see your St. Louis Blues take on the Boston Bruins December 9th at Enterprise Center. The first 10,000 fans to enter the arena will receive a quilted quarter zip featuring the blue note on the front and the new STL logo on the back, courtesy of Pepsi Zero Sugar. Get more details and enter to win now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 app. Broadcasting live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the E&B Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Friday. That means it's time for our football pick'em coming up here in about 10 minutes on BK and Ferrario. Stay tuned for that. But right now, Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports tweeting out, Penn State is in the final stages of negotiations to make Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell their next head coach, according to sources. The Penn State search has spanned more than 50 days, and it ultimately may land the Iowa State and former Toledo coach, who's heralded as one of the best leaders in the country. All of that coming from Ross Dellinger over on Twitter, who's been the best insider in the game this year when it comes to the college football coaching carousel. Alex, this was a guy that, I mean, if you had asked me on day one who Penn State should hire, the answer was Curt Cignetti. He resigns with Indiana. Then you turn your attention to, okay, what's the secondary market? Where do you turn next? Well, let's look at DeBoer down at Alabama. Okay, he's not going anywhere. Matt Campbell would have been in that next tier. He's a really good football coach. We were talking about this during one of the breaks as I brought up to you guys. You look at what Iowa State has been as a program. Dude, like 4 of their top 10 seasons in the history of their program are with him as their head coach. And I know it may not sound great because like these are his wins by year starting in 2017. 8, 8, 7, 9, 7, 4, 7, 11 last year, and 8 again this year. He's a consistent 8-win coach. At some schools, that would be underwhelming. At Penn State, that would be considered underwhelming. At Iowa State, he's been ranked in the top 25 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the last 9 seasons. Prior to that, just as context, the last time that they were ranked in the top 25 was 2005. Before then, they had been ranked in the top 25, Alex, 3 times between 1982 and 2016. A 35-year stretch, 3 times at any point in the season, they had been ranked among the top 25 teams. Again, he did it 5 years in a row and 7 of the last 9. This guy's a hell of a football coach. If this is ultimately where the Penn State coaching search concludes, they got the hire right, even if it was a weird way to get there.
Yeah, it took them forever to get there, and you just wonder why it took so long. But look, I mean, if you're Penn State, you're happy you got the guy that you probably wanted all along and just took you a weird route to get there. And, you know, the thing about Matt Campbell, just looking at it, because you see it and you're like, man, at Iowa State in Big 12, it's like 8, 9 wins. But you got to imagine that recruiting and how much commitment is it with the program versus going over to Penn State, right? You're now going to a program that's investing everything into it, that's telling you, hey, go out there and recruit and find guys. And if this guy's as great of a leader as he is, you're talking about the recruiting and the NIL, the portal side of this thing. I mean, this is a guy that if you're Penn State, you're at least excited about for the now. You'll find out once you get into the seasons if you can win the big game, because that's really what guys are going to be measured off of at Penn State after James Franklin's exit is, look, this is great. Can you win the big game if we get there?
Yeah, I love the hire. On paper, it looks like it's going to be a great hire. I find it fascinating. He's the one coach that ended up finally leaving for that Penn State job. Because I said this all along when we came into this process, when Penn State opened up and then when LSU opened up before we got the connection of, hey, they're going to go after Lane Kiffin. It was, man, I wasn't convinced that you were going to see SEC and Big Ten school coaches leave. And that didn't end up happening, of course, because as you mentioned, Cignetti resigned, Drink resigns with Mizzou. I was convinced the ACC and the Big 12 coaches would be the ones that would abandon ship and go for more resources and really hope for that Penn State job. And there was multiple guys that actually passed it down. Mm-hmm. So I would have thought for sure, okay, well, Matt Campbell is going to be just like Jeff Brom, who was reportedly in conversations with Penn State at Louisville, and he decided to stay. Same with BYU's coach. And now he leaves.
Here's the difference. Those guys are alums.
Yeah, I wondered how much that would be questioned, though. Like, would you really stick around for your alumni, or would you be willing to go chase a championship with Penn State?
We got our answer.
And we did. I don't know. The BYU coach was the one that, like, he was very close to taking that job.
We don't know that.
It sounds like he was close to taking that job, and then he ultimately decided to get after more commitment from BYU.
Yeah. That's the same thing all of these guys did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no different than what Eli Drinkwitz did at Mizzou or what Jeff Brom did at Louisville. They all ended up getting bigger commitments from their respective universities.
I still think at some point we will see guys leave that are alums of schools. It just wasn't in this cycle. But
sure,
Campbell, I do think, is a good hire for Penn State because of what Alex is saying. Now that he's got more resources in the Big Ten and in a conference where he should be always within the top 5 of that conference, he's got a path to the playoff, especially once it expands.
I do wonder about the recruiting angle on this. Campbell has never been like a high-level recruiter. He's kind of similar, honestly, to Gary Pinkel. And that, like, it's ironic. They both started their careers at Toledo. And Pinkel was a guy that just had a process in place. He was able to identify talent. He developed that talent, and they won with that talent. And much like Matt Campbell, he had unprecedented success at the University of Missouri like Campbell did at Iowa State. Now, if you translated that success to a bigger program like an Alabama, Ohio State, Penn State, they wouldn't have viewed it as successful as the way that they did at Mizzou or Iowa State for Campbell. But neither of them recruited at an extremely high level. They were like 35 to 50 in terms of their typical recruiting rankings. We never saw what Pinkel would look like at Michigan, a job that he ultimately declined to speak with. We're now going to get that opportunity with Campbell. I don't know what it'll look like. Is he going to recruit at a top 5 to 10 level, the way that most coaches have at Penn State? Or will the recruiting take a little bit of a downturn? We've seen this at places like Florida, for example, when Dan Mullen was there. He wasn't a super high-level recruiter. Same thing was true, honestly, for their most recent coach, who's now, by the way, the coach at James Madison. I don't know. That's my only real question about this is what is Matt Campbell going to do on the recruiting trail? But otherwise, it's a really good hire. I think he's going to do well there. I think he at least elevates your floor. And that's something that I think gets missed in a lot of these hires. I think for a lot of these programs, they look for the ceiling without thinking about the floor. And what ends up happening is you end up winning 5 games and you get into the same cycle 3 years from now. Campbell is somebody that I'm pretty confident at a minimum. He'll do a good job at Penn State. Just, is that going to be enough? I don't know. I don't know how you could tell that with anybody, though.
Can you think about the floor in your hire when you're Penn State, though? Like that, I don't know that you can. I don't think the floor matters.
I need the ceiling.
So, what's the ceiling candidate now, though?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't know. I mean, it probably is.
Gone.
Yeah.
There's nobody there to provide the ceiling.
And that's where,
so at least
Brian
get the
Dable.
floor. And I think there is a ceiling with Campbell. It's just dependent upon whether or not he can reach those higher levels of recruiting. And I don't have the answer to that yet because it's different recruiting at Iowa State than it is at Penn State.
Well, and that's
he's not been considered, though, in his past a guy that's a high-level recruiter.
That's going to be the biggest flaw for him, though, because like you could be one of the greatest leaders out there and win football games, but if you're not bringing in talent, whether it's recruiting or the portal, which I think it's more the portal, especially in the Big Ten, your leadership and everything's not going to matter as much. And at Penn State, 8 wins doesn't matter to those as much as it's going to be 10 or 11, keeping up pace with Ohio State and Indiana.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, it's time for our football pick'em. We had a week off of this. We're back in, baby. It is the month of December. What is this month going to hold for Alex, T-Bone, and myself? We'll get into it next year on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN is powered by Kaufman Townsley, St. Louis's injury lawyers. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
You can join me, Andrew Marsh, and 101 ESPN this Sunday from noon to 2 p.m. at Horseshoe St. Louis. Caesars Sportsbook is now live, Missouri, and you can download the only sportsbook app with Caesars Rewards and start betting like a Caesar, including an exclusive offer for new users. Download the app now and bet $5 using code RadioMo to get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Plus, a chance to win an epic trip to Vegas for the big game. Come check it out in person and hang with me, Andrew Marsh, this Sunday from noon to 2 p.m. at Horseshoe St. Louis, located at 999 North 2nd Street in downtown St. Louis. Get details at 101ESPN.com. No purchase or play necessary to enter to win. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Missouri. Non-withdrawable bonus bet expires 7 days after receipt. Bonus bet amount not returned for winning bets. See promotions on the app for full terms and free mail-in entry instructions. Void where prohibited. Know when to stop before you start? Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
St. Louis Blues hockey can be heard exclusively on 101 ESPN. Get the info you need before and after every Blues game with a First Community pre- and post-game show. First Community Credit Union.
Take your best shot with First Community and presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
Bruins blow past no time. Bradford Bruns, your Sports Center update is powered by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Jim Montgomery's Blues have dropped 8 of their last 11 games following last night's 5-2 loss to Boston. St. Louis aims for a turnaround tomorrow in Ottawa. Puck drop unfolding right here on 101 ESPN at 6 o'clock. More hockey conversation coming up next with Mike McKenna on site. Simultaneously tomorrow, Georgia, Alabama will be winding down afternoon style in the SEC. Indiana, as well as Ohio State, meet later. This evening's American Championship features North Texas, Tulane. Your SportsCenter update has been presented by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. We're going between the pipes with former NHL goaltender Mike McKenna.
Between the Pipes is refreshed by Macadoodle Spirits, fine wine, beer, and cigars. Now open in Darden Prairie.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We are calling an audible. We'll have our Pick'em Challenge coming up at 1 o'clock. But when Mike McKenna walks through the door,
it's the first time I've ever been early.
we welcome him here in the studio.
Yeah.
He joins us now at the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center once again, as is typically the case following a Blues loss. Mike, how you doing today?
It's just so good. Thank you. Doing good.
Yep. Now let's get into not being good.
Emotionally, not good. I'm so sick of this coming in here when they just don't win. I mean, we were in the building last week and saw a 1-0 shutout victory by the St. Louis Blues with my family in the alumni suite with my daughter, whose favorite player is Joel Hofer. And it's just like, man, that was so much fun. It was a great goalie game both ways. 1-0 is not the most exciting thing, but it's great to see the team play some defense in that game. And you just get to take in so much more when you're there. We all know that. But they look like a team that was really on the right track. And now what you just see is how teams that aren't very good aren't consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what we're looking at right now. And then when you factor in some of the youth combined with the team being beat up with injuries, there's a lot going on here that's preventing the Blues from finding that consistency.
So, Mike, I never like to question effort of a player until the coach does it.
Mm-hmm.
And the coach has done it now 3 times this season where they have questioned the effort of the team. From a NHLer, how in the world are these guys' efforts being questioned in hockey games?
I'll take it a step further. How have they had 3 coaches in a row question their effort? They've already gotten 2 coaches fired because of their effort. That's reality.
Yeah.
Like, that's in the locker room, what they've got to realize. And the next person to get fired is not going to be the coach this time. That's what it's like in the locker room is, man, we have to play or somebody's getting shipped out of town. I'm going back to your question, though. Like, I struggle to believe it, but it really does. I mean, Monty said it comes from within. I mean, it really is. It's an internal desire to be successful. You know, it's an internal desire to make sure that you're getting pucks deep. You're just doing the simple things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just details. There's one word for this, and it's details. And some of the players that have struggled to do that consistently, that's always been the thing, is details. And at this point, when you're pushing almost up against your upper 20s or 30 years old, is it ever going to change without a change of scenery?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can be comfortable in one place, in one city, you know? And I've seen this firsthand. I've seen players get traded and go somewhere else and they do great. And it just wakes them up, you know, and for lack of a better term for it. I kind of feel like the Blues are at that point.
Real quick, because you mentioned kind of the fear factor of like, hey, somebody could get traded. Does it not feel like that doesn't affect these guys? Like, and I'm not in the room. I'm not with these guys all the time. I'm sure it's in their head, but it sure doesn't seem like it affects the players as much as it used to.
I don't think now, especially with this team, when's the last time there was a true foundational shift with a trade for the Blues? What would
23,
you say?
the deadline when they traded O'Reilly, Tarasenko, those guys.
Those were big, but they were also lopping at that point.
Yeah, we knew that they were going to
Yeah.
be gone in one way or another after that season,
That's-
most likely.
Would you say when they traded Eric Johnson?
That was pretty big. When
Petro
they went,
leaving via free agency, that's a different.
yeah,
than
but
they trade statement
I'm
with a
talking an
trade.
in-season, hockey trade.
Stasny.
That was a
Stastny to
free
Winnipeg was a
agency.
big
Oh,
one.
yeah. That was a deadline.
But that was
Honestly,
also another lop-off.
and it was a deadline where they were selling off because I honestly think it's Eric Johnson.
Well,
when
they
got
were
Shattenkirk
in
and
the
Stewart.
playoff race though that
I mean,
year.
Shattenkirk and Johnson.
But
were
Army
the
said
ones.
in that press conference, this team's bad and I'm not
Correct,
dealing
but that
with
was
it.
the statement that he made. They were like 2 points out. Stastny is a guy that like Steen was mad.
Yeah.
Like guys on the team were frustrated that a core member of the team was traded. I'm throwing that out there because there are very few example of this.
It also
in
happened
recent
in
years.
late February or March.
Yeah. Yeah,
This is
mine was there, and I don't remember what month it was, but when they traded Eric Johnson, I mean, that's a first overall draft pick that they said, we don't believe he's what we thought, and we're going out there to get Chris Stewart and Kevin Shattenkirk, 2 younger players.
And to your point on this, Mike, the fact that we can name these guys that are years ago, and we're talking about this core group of players, doesn't affect them or not.
Have
We haven't
not
seen it.
felt the shockwave that goes through a locker room and a big piece gets moved.
Because they've heard the rumors.
Yeah.
We went through the rumors last year of Shin could be gone.
8 years.
But he wasn't dealt.
Sometimes when this creeps into your head, though, there can be a paralysis on the ice where it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, where you just feel this pressure, and because of that pressure, you're not performing to your optimum, even though you want to so bad. I mean, shoot, I felt that before. I did when I was with Ottawa, my last year pro. Like, I wanted to perform so bad, and I was overcompensating so much, and I felt like I was in purgatory because I hadn't been told to get a place to live, even though Ottawa, did not honor the CBA in any way that season, telling me blowing through both deadlines on when to get a place to live that nobody took any action on for me. That puts you in hockey purgatory. And you're never successful when you're there. You need somebody to at least say, hey, man, yeah, we believe in you. You're on the team. Let's go. You can feel like that if you feel like you're on the block. The problem is you really hope it goes the other way to motivate somebody. And we have not seen that with this team, I don't think.
Here's the problem. You can't do that with most of these players.
No.
Like the players that were questioning the effort,
Booch isn't going anywhere. Thomas isn't going anywhere. Pareko's not getting dealt.
and Kyrou gets to decide if he's going anywhere.
Right.
Like you can want him to be gone all you want. He chooses.
You're going to have to if that was the move that was if Jordan Kyrou leaving St. Louis was the play, okay? I'm not advocating any direction, but if this is the play, you're going to either have to make the poor guy miserable or you're going to have to send him down.
Do what they did to Doug Waite when they threatened him. Be like, look, you either accept this trade to Anaheim or you're going to the minors.
Well, that's what I mean. Send him down.
And let's be
that's
real.
Like,
is your ownership group paying $8 million for that dude to play in the AHL?
Yeah, because the players now would say, I'm calling your bluff. But the other side to this, too, is how many times have we seen players that get frustrated and say, I don't want to be here anymore?
Rarely.
And
but it's a credit to the city, though.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I mean, truly, this is a great place to play hockey. You have a rabid fan base that the team's not any good and they're still showing up.
And they're reasonable.
Okay.
They understand expectations. They're not calling guys out every single night.
It's
like
not Canada.
Philadelphia, Toronto, whatever.
I mean, dude, like
Boston.
Players, you think people are hard on you in this city, man? Dude, work in media and see how many clicks you get when you write an article about Toronto or Vancouver compared to Nashville or St. Louis. Okay. It's escalated more than you can ever imagine. So this is a pretty comfortable city to play in, even though there are expectations. It's a great place to live, everything else. It's just watching that game. It's like, man, puck deep. Nope, doesn't happen. Players running all over, and they've changed their system too.
Yep.
Like, I mean, now you're going to go to like a man-on-man more so.
Which Monty said it's the same system he used when he was in Dallas for those couple of years.
Yeah, listen, this is personal opinion. I get real nervous about man-to-man anything. I really do. Because you saw it on Geeky's goal. Great shooter. He's wide. I mean, you got Parayko and Broberger behind the goal line, and he's wide open in front. And it's just confusion from a new system, from not working with it. And you don't have any runway with that. Mid-season changes are really tough to pull off.
So what do they do? Because, like, we can all sit here and say, it's just not a great team. They're technically only a few points out of the playoffs, but out of the 28 games they've played this year, they've won 9.
Yeah.
So that's reflective of the team that we've seen for most of the season. what do you do, Mike?
Well, it depends what your course is. I mean, again, I'm not advocating for any player to be moved, but it feels like it needs to happen. Like I really feel like there's not. Again, they've had 2 coaches get fired here, and that at some point, because we keep saying Monty's not going anywhere. I mean, that's kind of where it ends, you know. And if you are ultimately trying to give space for these young players, you know, how long can you be frustrated by a player? You can't continue to be frustrated by your own players. You need horses that you can run with, that you believe in, that make Florida look like what they do, that made Tampa look like what they did for those couple years. And they're still doing, all right? There's no passengers with those 2 teams we just mentioned. They're that good for a reason. It's part of the difficulty of developing from within is that you really put all your eggs into what you're bringing along versus a Vegas who just goes out and buys everything. And they've done it very effectively. But Vegas has truly bucked the trend that they've said, yeah, whatever, we're going to go buy whatever we want. And it's worked for them. So maybe there's a bit of that page to take out of this for the Blues.
Well, and the hard part, too, with the trade front, you know, because I ask the question, how much does it change if you trade one of those guys away? And we don't know until that happens. But the other factor into this of people that are demanding a trade, it takes 2 to tango.
Yep.
And Doug has made it very clear for the last month that they're open for business, and you haven't seen a deal take place. The congestion in the National Hockey League, specifically in the Eastern Conference and kind of the West, you're not seeing teams that want to make trades.
You see why there was a little bit of smoke, though, towards the end of summer and middle summer about trades for the Blues.
Yeah.
Because that was the time to do it if you're going to. And I guarantee that was an internal discussion, too. What do we want to do? Because we're going to get offers for play. You're going to get offers for Kyrou in the summertime for sure. There's teams out there that can say, you know what? We get him here. We get him in our system. We could use 30 goals. We'll make something out of this guy. But in the middle of the year, like you said, that's a difficult task because you're looking for a team that truly thinks that player is going to make them better. And right now, I mean, is Kyrou objectively making the Blues better as a team? Is he going to make a different team better? Is he going to bring energy to a team?
It'd be hard to sell any team right now on the guys with their struggles that they've had that they make them better.
That's what it is. And you're not going to get market value on a player that doesn't really have any juice, you know? I mean, that's how, dude, that deal in Calgary when they traded Tkachuk was kind of like, whoa, like, look at all they're getting back. Which team got the better player? You know, it was Florida.
We said at the time, like some people were criticizing that deal, and listen, we've now seen what the fruits are of that. It's gone pretty well for Florida, but like, well, one of these teams is getting Matthew Tkachuk. Can we talk about that for a second? Because that guy changes everything. Well, he changes the outlook, the course of your franchise's history. And yeah, Mackenzie Weegar's really good. Huberdeau, good player, point producer.
I like those guys.
They ain't Matthew Tkachuk.
I remember Weegs in the American League was hilarious, dude. He was all over the place for the first year or two. He kept getting his chin strap like stuck in his teeth, and he'd be skating around. He didn't even know he had his chin strap in his mouth. That's another side story. But I mean, like, who on the Blues scares you if they're the opposition right now? Who's the killer on the team, right?
We've talked about this. Nobody.
If you're playing against the if you're playing against the Ottawa Senators, who are you afraid of? Brady Tkachuk.
I could list about 3 guys
Right.
that I'm afraid of on their team right now.
You know, if you're playing against the Boston Bruins, I mean, they still have some players that can do it to you. You know, Pasternak, they make you nervous. They scare you. We're not seeing that right now with the Blues. I'm not sure it's there.
All right, Mike. People can come out to Macadoodles this weekend.
This is how you make yourself feel better. Go to Macadoodles.
We're coming off of a huge weekend, I have to imagine, for you guys with Thanksgiving, the extended holiday weekend. Now we're getting into Christmas light season. We got the holidays coming up with people potentially traveling. What can they expect when they walk through the doors over at Macadoodles?
Well, you have family coming into town, and if you're unlike me, thankfully, I have wonderful in-laws, but if you can't stand your in-laws, come on in and get some THC-infused beverages. We have the widest selection, and we sell more than anybody in St. Charles County when it comes to that. But we've got all our holiday wines out. We do have all our barrel picks. Penelope barrel pick is out. Four Roses, Larceny, Planters out of Union. Those are all big. But what's really hit lately, the holiday beers, man, if you like holiday craft beer, like some of these ones coming out, a lot of them are spiced up. They've got, you know, nutmeg and clove, and you can get 1 or 2 of them down, and they're pretty thick, but they're so good. Bourbon County, we still have some Bourbon County stouts left in our building too. So Goose Island, Bourbon County, a couple of the variants are still there, along with the 4-packs of the original stuff. So we've also got some great deals, man. If you go to our go to Facebook or Instagram, you can see we're running some hot prices. I mean, everyday things, Busch Light, Angels Envy, Triple Oak, $54.97. Like, big time great prices on this stuff for the whole month of December. And we'll be jamming, man. Like, we're putting out some allocated stuff every day. And today, 3 o'clock, I'm going to have half dozen Penelope Valencias and a couple of Penelope Rios that are going to hit the shelf and see what happens, man. Make people happy.
That Penelope's some good juice. I don't know if you ever had any, Alex, but it's really good stuff. Check it out.
We do have one thing that's been working great though here. And again, we're at the corner of Bryan and Feisey Road, just north of the Page Extension. But the last couple of weeks, I've put out there that if you walk into Macadoodles, ring the bell, say a word, you can have a bottle.
BK and Ferrario bump.
That's it.
For MSRP, you don't just get to take the bottle home.
You do not get to take it. You must purchase it. But this week, our record is 3 minutes. We're going to see if we can beat it. This week, if you walk into Macadoodles, we have 2 bottles up for grabs. We have a Blanton's and we have an E.H. Taylor. Okay, both sought after allocated bottles. And if you walk in, and you must come in from off the street, if you walk in, ring the bell, and with the greatest Italian tone and inflection you can possibly muster up, say, "Arrivederci," loud enough for the building to hear you.
Hell yes.
You can take your first pick of Blanton's or E.H. Taylor, and then the next person to walk in from outside, find the bell. We will not help you find the bell. You must find the bell.
Scavenger.
And arrivederci. You can have the other bottle.
Thickest Italian accent. Not one, but 2 bottles at MSRP today. If you walk through the doors over at Macadoodles, get yourself out over there, hang out, go say hello, grab yourself some wonderful wine, beer, liquor, whatever it may be. They're going to help you out over at Macadoodles. Mike, appreciate the time as always, man.
Arrivederci.
We'll talk to you again next week. That's Mike McKenna joining us as he does each and every Friday here on BK and Ferrario. Coming up next, we're going to dive into the junk drawer here on 101 ESPN.
Tomorrow morning's the Big 12 Championship game. Pregame at 10:30, kickoff at 11. This is where the NCAA plays. 101 ESPN.
Football season is in full swing, and that means that it is time to open up the Underdog app. I checked it out today, Alex, whenever I woke up. I had a gimme pick on the NBA. I've got some odds boost available for me. I'm going to put in a play for this weekend. Chiefs versus the Texans. Yeah, that's my squad. I'm not feeling great about it. I've got Kareem Hunt lower on his rushing yards. I've got Nico Collins higher on his receiving yards. And how about this? I've got Patrick Mahomes to throw an interception in this game as well. Those three plays together get me 6-1 odds over on the Underdog app. It's super easy to use. Check it out today.
Yeah, so you just need to download that app. You can win up to 5,000 times your cash if you get your winnings right over on the Underdog app. Download it today. Sign up with promo code BKO to score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BKO. Underdog. Make plays. Win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the EMB Granite Studios, you're tuned into BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. Let's open it up. The Junk Drawer with BK and Ferrario.
Dive into the junk drawer alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. Football pick'em coming up in less than 10 minutes. Alex, what do you have for us today?
BK, did you see the news story about a airplane yesterday?
Oh, boy.
I'm surprised you didn't see this one, but apparently it was an airplane that was knocked out of the sky by a cosmic ray.
No.
It's like a supernova thing from the sky. It knocked the plane out. People were talking about it on social media yesterday, and I saw it pop up, and I'm like, oh, God, BK is going to see this one, and he is going to panic.
Oh, my God. All
so
right.
now
radiation from space led to more than 6,000 aircrafts needing emergency computer updates, and it could become a growing problem as we use more microchips to run our lives. Now, this is from the BBC. I'm not going to read the entire story, but I can tell you I've got anxiety that's building up inside of me just right now.
When's your next flight, big boy?
February.
Oh.
Yeah, February. We're actually looking at potentially going to Europe next year for our 5-year anniversary.
That's a good flight.
Yeah.
It's a good flight, man.
So that's good.
I'm just driving everywhere.
By the way, I'm going to go ahead and use the text line as a brainstorming idea. We're thinking about Germany next year.
Guten Tag.
It's a bucket list trip that my wife has always wanted to make. And obviously we're very into beer. Germans are kind of known for their beer.
Got to go for Beer Fest.
If anybody has like you should look into this place. You need to go here, whether it's in Europe or something like that. We're trying to figure out what we want to do for our 5-year anniversary next year, and it's the first like really big trip that we have taken since our honeymoon.
Money bags over here.
My wife got a recent promotion that's helping out with this.
$200,000.
If you guys have any recommendations, definitely send those in on the text line at 314-399-9646. Do you have a bucket list trip, Alex, for you guys? That's one for me as well.
But Italy's not going to be until we're older and our kids are grown up. We just can't afford that.
I want to take Luca, so we're going to wait on that until he's a little bit older, so that way we can have him go with us. This will be a trip that's just me and Kara. So that's one of the only reasons that we're not looking at that as our 5-year.
Yeah. Well, Katie and I's 10-year anniversary is in October, and guess where we're going? Nowhere. Yep. Jefferson County.
You guys are going to Seaverville out in the Smoky Street, though, right?
That's in February. We're hoping if we can find a good Airbnb that's not booked up, but we originally wanted to do Hawaii for our 10-year anniversary because that's where our honeymoon was at. But
you got worried about the chips getting
we were more worried about affording it and financially how it's going to work. So we'll kick that can down the road maybe 30 years.
I'd say my one place I've always wanted to go to when I saw it when I was in Spanish class in high school is Costa Rica.
Oh,
I
sure.
want to go to Costa Rica. That place looks beautiful.
Where's the one with the Aztec?
Isn't that Peru, right?
Is that Peru?
Are you thinking of Mexico?
I don't know which one you're
Mexico, like the Mayan
about.
towers and things like that. That's Mexico, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's another spot that
I
I've
thought
always
you were
wanted to
thinking
go.
of it's a seven wonder of the world.
You're
Peru.
talking about in Peru.
Yeah.
In Mexico, my brother-in-law just went there to those.
That's another thing
the
that I want to do.
ruins, and he said it was awesome.
Yeah,
Said
that's
it was
another
fantastic.
one of those. Germany is this place that I have zero interest in.
Really?
I would want to
Germany
go, but
and France. I
I don't know if there's anything that I
No
like,
interest.
France
really
is
want
mine.
to do.
My version of what you're talking about there, I don't have any interest in going to France. I'm not a big like French wine drinker. I don't like the food, the style of food.
No way.
It does nothing for me. And like going to see the Eiffel Tower is just not something
Just go
that
to
appeals
Vegas.
to me the same way.
Same thing, man. I went up into
You
the
can
Eiffel
eat-
Tower
you
and
can
Go
Good
to
lunch in
Disney
it.
World.
Yeah. I went up there in Vegas, and then I went back down and I played blackjack the rest of the night. You don't get to do that in France. Someone brought up Scotland. That's another one that I'd like to do. Scotland or Ireland. And
See, I have no interest in those.
Katie's is probably
I'd like to
sightseeing
go
because Katie's got Irish background in her. I want to go because of golf. Like I've heard some of the golf courses in Scotland or Ireland is just beyond belief.
There's a bunch of places that I would like to go to. A lot of Canada I would like to explore. I would like to go to Montreal. I would love to go to Vancouver. I want to go to Banff at some point.
Katie's tried to
want to go
convince
to
me.
Alaska.
Katie's tried to convince me Niagara Falls, and I've told her I have zero interest in going to see a
Niagara
waterfall.
Falls, Niagara
I'd like to
Falls
go to
is-
Niagara Falls.
She said
It's
you got to go to the
beautiful.
Canada side
Yeah.
where you see it, not the
The Canadian,
U.S. side.
The Canadian side is beautiful, and the area that's around it is nice. The American side is pretty sad.
Mahomes long body mentions. I would like to go to a huge soccer match in Europe, somewhere like Barcelona, Milan, somewhere where the
wanna do
football is
that.
everything. That would be amazing. My brother-in-law goes over to Europe every year, right around this time of the year, and they check out a few games. That's like the number one reason that they go. He goes with some buddies. They all played soccer together growing up. So that's another thing that I would love to do as well. I'd like to go to a game while we're in Germany if we end up going there. Check out some of the German soccer leagues as well. Spain is another one that Madrid is a spot that I would love to go to. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll get into One's Gotta Go. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's got to go. But next, it is our continuation of the Football Pick'em Challenge. We start things up for the month of December with our picks next year on 101 ESPN.
Diese ganze Dinge ist ein Fehler.
101 ESPN's Blues Fan of the Week.
Congratulations to Harriet Radinsky from St. Louis, Missouri. She was named our newest 101 ESPN Blues Fan of the Week.
Submit your pick now at 101ESPN.com to be the next Fan of the Week and take home a pair of tickets to an upcoming Blues game.
Our Blues Fan of the Week is presented by CarStar, your auto body repair experts. Locally owned with nationwide warranty. See us at carstar.com.
Sports betting is here, Missouri.
WXOS, WXOS HD1 East St. Louis, 101 ESPN is driven by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm. BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center, presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and T1, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. It is time for our Football Pick'em Challenge. So far this year, Alex is in first place. He's got 43 points. I am in second. T-Bone. Woo! This is new territory for you. You are bringing up the rear with 31 points on the season. It is the final month of the official Pick'em Challenge for the show. We'll make picks into the playoffs, but the month of December is where this thing comes to its conclusion. And this is where it gets interesting for T-Bone. He relies heavily on college football.
Well, it hadn't worked.
He's got basically one more week of that with the college football championship games this weekend, conference championships. After that, though, it gets into bowl season, and as a noted bowl hater, it starts to get real interesting for T-Bone as he turns his attention more to the NFL. So this week, Alex will pick first. I'll go second. Then T-Bone, if you're new to the show, we pick against the spread. No totals, no props. 3 picks, scaled on a scale of 1 to 3, 3 being the highest rating for the week. Alex, what is your 1-point play?
All right, boys, my 1-point play, I am taking the Seattle Seahawks on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. It's a 7-point line the last time I looked at it, and I like this not as much to be the 2 or 3-point play, but Falcons got nothing else to play for right now. The Seahawks, of course, are still battling out in that NFC West, and I frankly just... Darnold makes me nervous, but that defense and that overall offensive playmaking ability seems to be able to cover that spread. So 7 points, I know it's a lot, but I think Seattle's going to easily cover that one.
Seattle's one of the best teams in the NFL this year. And that's...
I think T-Bone's using it.
That's why they are my 2-point play, are the Seattle Seahawks. I'm with you. I love their defense going up against Kirk Cousins. I think you're going to see the hell for him. I wish it was 6.5, not 7. Even then, I don't think I'm going to have to sweat this one. I feel good about the Seahawks -7 on the road.
That defense against that quarterback, I've said this a couple of times, and it's been true a couple of times. They might outscore the Falcons.
Kirky's a little rusty in this one, so.
Yeah.
That
does worry me west to east, though.
I do like the play, not one of my 3. My 1-point play, I'm going with the team that I just think is better than the opponent, and they're an underdog at home.
So Texans.
I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars at home as a 2-point underdog against the Indianapolis Colts. I think they have the better quarterback. I think they have the better roster. I like offense quietly better since including Jacoby Myers into things. He is almost exactly what they did. He's consistent. He's not anybody that's going to add explosive plays or anything like that. But over the last couple of weeks, he's found him, and I think it's opening things up for Trevor Lawrence. So give me the Jaguars plus the 2 points.
I'm nervous. I had this like as my 5th option, but this feels like a breakout game for the Colts after a couple of bad losses.
I don't know what to make of the Colts anymore, and I just, like you mentioned, you think the Jags got the better quarterback. I guess they do, but I just don't trust
the same quarterback.
Yeah, these are 2 quarterbacks that could lose their team the football game, so that's why I ended up avoiding it.
I look at the last month. The Colts have lost to the Steelers, they lost Chiefs, they lost to the Texans, and they needed overtime to beat that putrid Atlanta Falcons team that against this week. Jaguars are right in the conversation with all of those teams. I think they lose again.
All right, 2-point play. I am the underdog here, but I'm taking 6.5. I think regardless if you believe that the Packers defense is going to shut down Caleb Williams, it's a matchup has meaning, which means it's going to be close. I win this by more than I think the Packers may win it by 3, but I think that offense and Ben Johnson's ability, frankly, how well they've been playing, I think they keep it close.
So here's what we're going to do. It sounds like they have to cut out a little bit. We need this for Monday. So we're going to take a break real quick. We will continue with the rest of our picks and give you our NFL weekend look ahead coming up next year on 101 ESPN.
Start your day with the morning after on 101 ESPN. Get in the know first on everything St. Louis sports with Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, and Martin Kilcoy. Listen to TMA weekday mornings from 7 to 11 a.m. on 101 ESPN. The morning after is presented by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Broadcasting live from the EMB Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
I've got really good news. It's twofold. One, audio's good. Two, you guys get a really extended segment here.
Oh, yeah. That's our specialty.
So, I'll be able to do this.
This is actually ideal. You get a lot more BK and Ferrario, and here's the best part of it all, Alex.
Yeah?
You pay nothing for it.
Oh.
It is completely free for you to consume. So we are going to continue with our football pick'em. We will then go into our NFL weekend look ahead. And maybe even talk a little bit about the college football conference championship games this upcoming weekend. So we've got a lot to get into and more than enough time to do it here on BK and Ferrario. It's 1:23. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. So hang out with us. If you're out, getting ready to go to lunch, you got 20 minutes to get to your lunch. Guess what? You're hearing commercial-free radio here on BK and Ferrario.
Commercial-free radio with Brandon Kiley and Alex Ferrario.
All right, Alex, if you missed it or if the audio was bad, I truly don't know how bad it got.
Third time's the charm.
His 1-point play is the Seahawks -7 against the Falcons. T-Bone's tailing that play. He's got them as his 2-point play, the Seahawks -7. I've got the Jags +2 as my 1-point play against the Colts. Alex likes the Bears +6.5 rather on the road at the Falcons. My 2-point play, take 3. Here we go.
Here we go. We're here.
Is the Washington Commanders as a 1-point favorite on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. I think they're the better team. I think they will go on the road against a really bad quarterback and put up enough points to come out victorious. That's all I need here. Just get the win, and I think the Commanders will do exactly that. So give me Washington -1.
And just like I am tailing Alex with
this
the
is
Seahawks
a strategy.
play, I am tailing BK on this play. Originally, before the show today, this was the line in favor of the Vikings. And then the news got announced that Jaden Daniels was going to be playing in this football game, which had kind of been the known secret all week. So I couldn't figure out why this line was favoring the Vikings even before that was announced. I love the Commanders in this. The Vikings have a good defense. McCarthy looks bad against any defense. And it looks like he's going to play. Yeah, give me the Commanders. I think they win this one easily.
T-Bone, if you just copy our picks the rest of the way, you're still going to lose, man.
Is this your 1-point play?
This is my 1-point play.
All right, 3-point play for me. I can't believe I'm picking this team because I despise this team, but their opponent is the reason I'm picking them. I'm taking the Denver Broncos -7.5. I mean, we've said this all along. I don't know how the Raiders score points. I know, Geno's played well. That's fine. But against this defense, I don't know how they put up points. And frankly, I think their defense could outscore their offense. But on top of that, I'll give Bo Pix his credit. He's played better as of late. So 7.5-point spread, again, feels like a lot. But I think this one, for me, felt like a lock.
Yeah, I get it. They did not play well last week on the road at Washington. So that makes me a little bit nervous. The Raiders are just so bad, though.
Yeah.
So I totally understand.
T-Bone was smirking over there. You copy all 3 of our picks,
No, I was smirking because
he was going this way,
he peeked
too.
over to my left to see if I was doing it. No, I'm not.
My 3-point play, it's worked out well for me in recent weeks, Alex.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it. This
Pick
is a
with
trap.
your head.
This is a trap.
Not your heart.
It's a trap.
My head is telling me the Kansas City Chiefs, without their left tackle, without their right tackle, without their right guard, with no pass rush to speak of, this is just not their year. They're at home. It's Sunday Night Football. They've played much better at home this year than they have on the road. But I think at a minimum, this is going to be an extremely close football game. I think it's 3 points one way or the other. And the Texans get the hook. So give me the Houston Texans +3.5 on the road at the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they win the game outright. I love the fact that I'm getting the 3 plus the hook. So Texans +3.5.
I really thought about that play, but I couldn't get away from Seahawks, Commanders, or what my 3-point play is. And maybe this is me betting with my heart, but I am going with the Rams -8.5 at the Cardinals. And my thought process behind this, one, we saw today it was announced Marvin Harrison is out for this game, so he's not playing. So Jacoby Brissett's best weapon is now out of the lineup. And on top of that, the Rams are the best team in the NFC, and they just laid a total egg against the Carolina Panthers. I think they're going to bounce back. They're going to want that 1 seed so Sean McVay can rest his guys before they start playing in the playoffs. I think they're going to come out. I think they're just going to dominate this football. I think you're going to see the defense much better. They're going to get in the face of Jacoby Brissett, and I think Stafford's going to have a huge game.
How about that? 0 college football picks this week. I think that's the first time it's happened all season long.
I had no feel for any of those conference championship games.
We'll get into them here in just a moment. Let's go through this NFL slate because, as you guys know, I have to talk to you about my 101 ESPN Pick'em Challenge.
Got to get the help of us again.
Pick'em Challenge. I am off to a rough start. I picked the game incorrectly last night.
I think all of us did, right?
Didn't some of the other Fastlane guys good?
We all did, yes. There were some that ended up going with the Lions. I think Stalter had the Lions last night, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to check on that. Let's see here. Yeah, Stalter, Jamie, Learn, and Rafe all had the Lions last night.
2-2.
The rest of us all took the Cowboys. So I was among that group, unfortunately. So I'm down 1-0 against those guys. My goal is now to try to win these weeks. So let's go through these.
I'm glad that that's your goal now. What happened in the earlier portion of the season?
Well, my goal at the beginning portion of the season was just not to be punished. And now it's to actually like be at the top of the standings. I'm starting to rise up the ranks
I think we've got some like throwing games stuff here by BK. I think he likes to throw all of these bets because he likes to be punished.
So the Seahawks are on the road at the Falcons. You guys both like Seattle, right? We don't have to spend too much time here. One of the games that I think is going to swing this week, Steelers at the Ravens. I really like the Ravens plus the points. I really considered using that as one of my picks this week. I don't like them straight up, though. I do think the Ravens find a way to win this one.
Yeah, I think the Ravens win. I think the Steelers have had a lot of success against the Ravens in years past, but I don't trust that team anymore because Rodgers seems to be broken like we'd all expect. And frankly, their defense can't stop anything.
It might be the head cold here, but I'm kind of leaning Steelers. And my thought process behind it, Lamar's just beat to ever-living hell right now.
Is he playing? Do we know?
It's not yet announced.
They keep doing this, though.
He's got like a toe injury. He's like dealing, like every part of him hurts, apparently.
He has broken 0 tackles this year. He has 0 missed tackles forced. He had like 70 over the last 2 years combined.
And their offense just doesn't look the same now. He's dealing with injuries.
Here you go. Lamar returned to practice today. He's on track to play Sunday against the Steelers. I don't know how much it matters, but I just wanted to update that for people.
I have a feeling this is a Steelers win. Tomlin gets them to kind of bounce back, and that's not like me saying I trust the Steelers or anything. Lamar is hurt, beat up. I think that hurts the Ravens, so I think Steelers somehow win this football game.
Browns at home against the Titans. I like the Browns to win this one straight up. They're 4.5-point favorite. You guys agree?
I like the Browns. I wanted to go this with my survivor pick, but I can see this blowing up at your in your face if you chose the Browns.
I'd say Browns. Don't watch that football game.
I agreed. Jaguars at home against the Colts. I've got this as one of my plays this week. I think the Jaguars win this straight up. They're a 2-point underdog at home, but I do think the Jaguars will win this one.
I like the Colts, man. I think Colts are more desperate.
I lean Jags because the Colts are struggling. I wouldn't take this in the pick 'em, but I'm leaning Jags.
Commanders versus the Vikings. I like the Commanders. You guys on the same page there?
Yeah.
Dolphins at the Jets. This is another one I don't have much of a feel for. I think it could actually be a pretty good fantasy game for fantasy football, but
hope so.
I like the Dolphins to win straight up. They're on the road, though. I don't know.
Flip a coin.
Sure.
It's trash versus trash. So I'd go with just the home team because they're the home team in this one.
The Jets.
Oh, I'm going Dolphins. They've been playing better football late. And by the way, how about this? This would be awesome for Monday. Chiefs lose, Dolphins win. They have the same record.
Oh my God,
that's embarrassing.
Oh my God. Okay. Saints are on the road at the Bucs. We all like the Bucs, right?
Yes. Everybody put it into the atmosphere. Survivor pick moves on. We're going Bucs.
Game that I struggle with this week. Another one that could be the flip of the week. Bengals at the Bills. I think the Bills will win this game. I really like the Bengals to cover, though, man. I think the Bills are just going to run too much. I think it's going to be kind of sloppy and ugly, but
I actually think the Bengals win this one.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, I'm
They've
with
got
BK.
T and Jamar Chase this week.
Yep.
Yeah,
and Burrow.
I'm still with BK. I like the Bills. I don't think they're going to cover 6. That's a pretty big line since that offense is back together, but I don't trust the Bengals defense to get enough stops against the Bills.
Broncos are on the road at the Raiders. We all like the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to spend too much time on this. Bears at the Packers. I like the Packers to win this one. I don't mind, though, the pick that you guys made, the Bears plus 6.5. That's fine. It's a big number to cover. Do you guys have a lean straight up?
I actually like the Bears straight up.
On the road at the Packers.
Sounds like they're getting their cornerback back. They're out or they're without Roma Dunze, but their offense has still found ways to be successful. I actually think the Bears win this one straight up because I don't know if the Packers can put up points.
Yeah, I worry about the Packers. I actually am leaning them, and a big reason for it. Looks like he's going to play because it looks like he was a limited practice either today or yesterday. Monangai, but he's dealing with an ankle injury, so that could slow down a running back, and they need that two-headed monster of him and DeAndre Swift. So I lean towards Packers find a way to get this win.
The Packers have lost at home against the Bears one time in the last decade. It was last year. So that's noteworthy.
Let's also remember how bad the Bears have been in the last decade.
No doubt. That's one of those trends that I would tell T-Bone I don't care because that's a different version of the Bears than who they are right now.
Just like east to west, it's trash. Or west to east.
This is one of those games, though, where I trust the Packers at home in this spot. Rams are on the road at the Cardinals. We like the Rams.
Yeah.
Texans at the Chiefs.
Man, I want to say Texans because everything you're saying is right, but I mean, this is it for the Chiefs.
Yep.
And how many times are we going to?
This is a playoff game. If they lose this game,
it's done.
They're technically not eliminated.
It's
mathematically
done.
They're alive. It's over.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, it's hard for me to bet against a Patrick Mahomes when your backs are against the wall. So I actually think I would lean Chiefs.
I lean Texans. I understand what you're saying about their backs against the wall. That typically is when Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo get the best out of Kansas City. But I go back to when I think you took them, if I remember correctly, in the pick 'em.
It was last week or 2 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago when they played at Denver, coming off their bye.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think you had the numbers. Andy Reid's awesome coming off of a bye, right? They were already with their backs against the wall. So they're going to show up. They're going to find a way to beat the Broncos, and they lost 22-19 and did so in ugly fashion. I think they lose this week to the Texans.
The one difference is this one's at home. And they've been very good so far this season when they play at home. Recently, they're home.
I was going to say, to be fair, some of their most recent home games, Raiders, Commanders, they did beat the Colts
I was
in
about
overtime.
to say Colts and Lions both count.
Yeah, but we called the Lions not a playoff team earlier.
Yeah, but at the time, and they were still one of the best teams in the NFC.
They had more of their roster at that point than they do right now.
I mean, those are two big wins. The Colts one specifically because the
100%.
Colts were playing awesome at that time.
It's the one thing that makes me nervous about taking the Texans here. The one thing is that it is a
I think you're right, though, that it's going to be
City.
tight no matter what. And you getting that, if that was 2.5 points, Texans, I would be very worried.
It makes me nervous because of the home aspect of it. But to me, the differentiating factor, the Chiefs have always had something they can go to, something that is an elite unit that gives them an advantage over their opposition. Like a couple of years recently, it's been their defense. Before that, it was always their offense. They just had something that felt like it was elevated among the opposition. They don't have that in this game. Their offensive line is such a deficiency against the Texans that their offense is not actually an advantage. It is a huge disadvantage. And their defense has been a net negative for a month. So it's hard for me to look at this and say, like, this is where the Chiefs have a clear and decided advantage against the Texans. I think the Texans are just better in this game. And I hate saying that as a Chiefs fan. I don't think that they have many natural answers for this Texans team. All right. And then on Monday Night Football, we'll talk about this more on Monday, but Eagles at the Chargers. I like the Eagles,
Yeah, I don't know why the Chargers are they're favored, right?
I think the Eagles are.
But it's a small line if that's what it was. We were talking about that earlier. I don't get that because Justin Herbert's playing. Justin Herbert had surgery this week on his arm. So, like, I'm not going to sit here and act like the Chargers are fine. They've been playing poorly for the last few weeks.
Yeah, I like Eagles, but I don't say that with any
They're without Jalen Carter, too. I mean, that's your defense right there. So,
yeah, I don't know. I lean Eagles.
Don't watch this game either.
Yeah, Monday night, like watch a Christmas movie or something.
All right, let's get into our actual football week or NFL weekend look ahead. Do you guys have the matchup of the week for you? What's the game? Because there's a few of them that are really interesting. It's a week that's like win or go home for some teams, or winner ends up clearly in the driver's seat. Colts versus Jags. You got the Ravens versus the Steelers in their respective divisions. What's the game that you're most intrigued by, Alex?
I mean, honestly, mine's the Bears and Packers. And it's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like, I think there's a real shot that the Bears might be the team that's fighting for their playoff lives at the end of the season if this one goes poorly. And plus, like, look, I don't think the Bears are as good as they're playing right now, but they're taking advantage of their bad schedule. This isn't a bad opponent. Like, despite my belief of the Packers not being able to create offense, still got an elite defense. And what's the one reason the Bears have been where they're at right now? It's because their offense has been awesome. So to me, this is going to be a real telling sign of, are the Bears a playoff team, or are they a little bit of fraudulent? And you're going to find out in that last game against the Lions.
That's the game for me as well, because I look at it. I don't see the path where the Bears, I know what the path is. We laid it out earlier. I don't see them missing the playoffs. I think they take care of business. But if they are a team that can go on a deep run in the postseason, they should be able to show it against this Packers team. I know what the Packers' record are. I know they're 8-3-1. They're frauds, right? I do not think they're that good a football team. BK loves them until he watches them on Sundays. I think this is a game they should go to Lambeau and dictate what happens. But because Montgomery is beat up, it does make me a little bit hesitant to say that. But if they are as good as we think, and Caleb Williams is starting to make the steps towards being the franchise quarterback, this is the game where you really show that against Green Bay on the road when it's cold in the Green Bay.
For me, the game that I'm most curious about is Bills-Bengals. I think it's an awesome matchup, man. I know what the record is for the Bengals are 4-8, but you want to talk about a team that has their backs against the wall. It's Cincinnati. And they've been here before. They were in almost this exact same spot a year ago. And then they got to the final week of the regular season. They had that game against the Denver Broncos, and people were like, "Woo, you don't want to play against this team." And they ended up just like barely missing out on the postseason. But they were 4-8, went into a game on the road at Dallas, and then won out the rest of the way, got themselves to 9-8 by the end of the season. Can they do that again? Can they get themselves to 9-8 and at least give themselves a chance to get in, to sneak into the playoffs in the AFC? If they win this game, man, the path is there. The Baltimore Ravens are not a great team. They've got them next week. And then Miami, Arizona, Cleveland, they'll be favored in all three of those matchups. This is the game, though, that allows that opportunity to even be possible. They've got to beat Buffalo on the road. Should be fun as hell from a fantasy football perspective. Lots of points I would anticipate being scored in this game. That is the matchup I'm most interested in. We already broke down a little bit the Texans versus the Chiefs. That's another good one. That's Sunday Night Football as well. For you guys, do you have an upset that you're looking at right now?
Honestly, it's kind of the same one. It's the Bears. I think the Bears win straight up. I think with this matchup, I don't see the Packers just are a team that I don't believe can put up a lot of points. And if it's a tight football game, I have to believe what I'm seeing now. Now, I don't know if I'm going to buy into it when the playoffs start, but Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams have that offense really opened up. So I think they could put up points, and I don't know if the Packers can keep up with them in terms of offense. So I think it's a 6.5 point spread. I think the Bears win it straight up.
I mentioned this when we were running through BK's picks. I think it might be the Steelers this week at Baltimore. They always play the Ravens well, and now they've got their backs against the wall. They've called each other out, mostly Aaron Rodgers calling out his wide receiver room. And Mike Tomlin, I think, is going to get those guys ready to play. And for Baltimore, there's just weird vibes around them. You know, it'd be one thing if they were losing games and they were putting up points. Their offense just looks ugly. Like, watching them is a tough experience right now. And now that you've got Lamar that is so beat up, it's going to limit what they can do with him. I think you see Pittsburgh go to Baltimore and pull off the upset.
I've already mentioned a couple. I think the Texans beat the Chiefs. That's an upset. The Jaguars winning at home would be an upset according to Las Vegas. If I was going somewhere different, I'll go ahead and go back to Bengals versus the Bills. I don't think they're going to pull it off. I would definitely take the Bengals plus the 6 points. I'm going to take the Bills in our Pick'em challenge. But if I had to pick a third game that stands out to me, it would indeed be that one. All right, let's go to the college football side of things. You ready? Start looking at the conference championship weekend. Actually, really fun game tonight. Now, it's in the American, so it's not as, sexy as some of these other matchups that we'll see. But North Texas versus Tulane, two coaches that are heading to different schools. Tulane's coach is going to be the next head coach at Florida. North Texas's head coach, and probably their quarterback, are going to head to Oklahoma State starting next season. But both are being allowed to coach their respective teams in this weekend and then also in the playoff in the event that either of them were to make it. I kind of like North Texas because I'm going to back their offense in this game. Do you guys have any lean in North Texas versus Tulane?
No.
It's going to be a really fun one to watch, I think.
I'm interested in it. I'm not going to be a fraud here and act like I've seen a lot of these games, North Texas and Tulane.
Why are you not watching the American on your Saturdays?
Sorry, man. A lot of stuff going on. But, I mean, I've heard a lot about North Texas's offense, and so I think I would back that. Offense versus a defense in this one, I think I'd go with the elite offense.
Yeah, I like North Texas as well. The only thing that scares me is North Texas gives up points. So, if their offense, turns ball over, once or twice, suddenly I don't know if they're going to get enough stops, but I'm going to bank on their quarterback who's been great. 29 touchdowns, 4 picks this year, 3,800 yards. I like North Texas.
They also haven't faced anywhere near the same level of competition as Tulane. Yeah. Tulane's had a much more difficult schedule to end up in basically the same spot as North Texas, so that is one thing that I am somewhat keeping an eye on. Big 12 championship is tomorrow at 11 a.m. That's how these festivities begin for championship weekend in college football. BYU is a huge underdog. 12.5 points is the spread in favor of Texas Tech, and that's the side I like. BYU's a really fun story. They had an awesome freshman quarterback this year. Texas Tech is a championship contender, though, and I think they do end up taking care of business.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I mean, they got a guy in the Heisman conversation
as a linebacker.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the team that's
he's
elite.
Not really in the conversation.
Sure, but he's there at least. There's betting odds, and he's top 5. So I'm gonna go with the team that's actually elite, and I don't believe BYU is.
Yeah, I like Texas Tech to win. I don't think they cover, though. I think BYU keeps this one a little bit closer than they did in the regular season. So I'll take Tech, but I will take BYU on the points.
Georgia against Bama in the SEC championship game. A game that kind of has stakes for Bama. I don't know what the committee would do with them if they end up losing this one, but it's worth keeping in mind that would be their third loss on the season, and it's possible that would open up the opportunity for one of these other teams to sneak in ahead of them. Do you guys have a lean, Georgia versus Bama?
I'm going Georgia, and I really don't have any information to back it up. I just think Georgia's the better team.
Bama's expected to be without both of their top running backs. They'll have their third string running back in this game. Last time they played against Georgia, they got nothing going on the ground, but Ty Simpson had a really good day, and ultimately they won on the road at Georgia.
And that's what you're banking on. And to me, it felt like if you're going off of that, maybe it was a flukier game for Georgia because Georgia's been a pretty solid team since that matchup. And, man, watching Ty Simpson when he played Mizzou, I was impressed for like a quarter. So I just think Georgia's the better all-around team. So if we're talking in this scenario, I'd go Georgia.
I like the under 48.5. That's what I would be pinpointing here. I think Georgia wins, and I like the under in this game between Georgia and Bama.
Do you like the over?
I am leaning Bama. I don't trust Georgia's defense. You know, I always read Bill Connolly's piece on Fridays because he's great at breaking down kind of the weekend ahead. And he was mentioning, hey, the Georgia defense been looking better. And I go back and I go, okay, so they held Texas to 10, which is an awful offense to watch. They held Charlotte to 3, shocker. They held Georgia Tech, another bad offense, down to 9. I don't know that Georgia's defense is actually that good. And even without the running backs for Bama, I mean, you just mentioned it, they didn't run the ball well in their first matchup, and Bama still won. I think Ty Simpson's going to have a really good game, and he's going to get Bama over the top.
I think their last 3 games they've played really well, though.
Who, Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I agree.
And I was reading this one. They're 4-1 in 1-score games. So, like, tight football games.
So is Alabama.
They're
Bama's
both good
4-1.
teams. They're both really good teams. So this is, I mean, it's a razor's edge that you're picking here. Duke versus Virginia. We'll go to that one next before we get to the 1-2 matchup.
I want to see Duke. I need Duke to win so I can be happy on the weekend.
I'm not watching this football game, so don't even ask me.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No,
I have
not.
got to see Duke
Shut
win
up.
this
The
football
Blues
game.
are playing tomorrow.
Well, I'm not watching that.
versus Ohio State.
I'm not watching Duke and Virginia.
Yeah. Duke,
No.
Virginia.
Who cares?
So you split screen it with
Duke
Indiana,
lost
Ohio
this year
State.
to Illinois
A good
and
football
Tulane
team.
and
football
Virginia by 17 and UConn. They lost to UConn this season.
It's why we need them to win.
They're in the ACC championship game against Virginia, who, by the way, lost to NC State and Wake Forest. Oh, boy.
Timo just wants us so he could say, oh, Illinois lost to the ACC champions.
No, I don't care about that. I want to see 2 group of 5 teams get in and then watch the ACC cry and go, we should put in 8 and 5 Duke because we're a Power 4.
I do think Virginia ultimately wins this game.
I don't care.
And I think that this one will go over the point total.
Oh, why is that? Bad defense on both sides?
Yeah, it's 57.5, by the way.
Let's put them in the playoffs.
The point total is 57.5. So if you want to see points, this is a game you should be watching. You should definitely not watch Indiana versus Ohio State, which I think is going to be pretty low scoring. But it has a chance to be an excellent football game that ultimately shows us a preview of what the national championship could be.
And it might determine who wins the Heisman.
Good point.
If you see Sayan or Mendoza play really well, they get this extra game over Pavia. I think there's a chance if one of them has a good game. Now, if this is a slugfest, it probably goes to Pavia.
And part of that
plays well, they could.
Part of that is the voting has changed this year. You used to be able to vote prior to the conference championship weekend. That is no longer the case. This season, they changed the voting. It starts, I believe, on Saturday that you can get your votes in and then goes through, I think, like the next Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a shorter period of time, and it begins after these games. So that's a really good point, T-Bone. This might ultimately determine both the front runner to get to the national championship game and also the Heisman winner this year. I think I would lean Ohio State. Their defense is better than anything else that anybody else has done this year, but I would not count Indiana out of this game. It's going to be fun as hell.
Yeah, I like Ohio State. I just think they're so well balanced offensively. Their defense is so good, as you mentioned. I don't know if Indiana's going to be able to put up enough points. I think they will keep this close. I don't think they cover. I think they lose by like a touchdown, and then they'll be able to make adjustments if necessary. But I still think they are the 2 best teams in the country.
This is the one I like the under in. This is the one I'd like the under, but I think I would go Indiana. I just go with I think Mendoza is a Heisman Trophy winner, and I think he showcases it in this one.
This is a big game for him because he's also potentially the number 1 overall pick. You want to see a game where he goes up against legit NFL defensive talent to see how he stacks up against the kind of defense that he's going to see next year in a coordinator who has coordinated defenses at the NFL level as well. So schematically, there are some similarities. Before this, here are the teams that Fernando Mendoza has played this year, boys.
Don't say the one.
Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State, Illinois, Iowa struggled in that game, by the way. Oregon played very well in that game. Michigan State, UCLA, Maryland, the ghost of Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue. It has not exactly gone up against the best of the best this season. That's not to take away from him. That's not to take away from what Indiana has accomplished. They deserve all of the props in the world, but this is going to be a different kind of test for them. Meanwhile, Ohio State has played some of the better teams in the country this season, in particular Texas in week 1. So they've seen this kind of level of competition before. With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, we'll hit the rewind here on BK and Ferrario.
101 ESPN is powered by Kaufman Townsley, St. Louis's injury lawyers. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Do you have what it takes to beat the Blues? Tune into BK and Ferrario every week for your shot to take on a member of your St. Louis Blues. And you can win a signed puck and tickets to an upcoming game.
Can You Beat the Blues is presented by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Tanner Hendrickson here in Missouri. It's finally here. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live in your state. And to kick things off, DraftKings is giving all customers a can't-miss offer for this Sunday's Kansas City game versus Houston. Double your money if Kansas City gains just 1 yard. That's right, 1 single yard, 1 snap, 1 play. If Kansas City moves the ball even 1 yard, you double your money up to $100. It doesn't get any easier than that. With DraftKings Sportsbook, you're never just watching the game. You're in on the action, fast, safe, secure, and all from your phone. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use my code TANNER, as all customers can opt in today to double their money if Kansas City gains just 1 yard in Sunday's matchup. That's code TANNER in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. 1 single-use odds boost per customer. Marketed boosted to plus 100 odds. Max bet $50. Expires at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, December 7th. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
ESPN Sports Center.
STL skidding into Canada. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Having dropped 8 of their past 11 games, the Blues seek a reset, entering tomorrow's bout versus Ottawa. Puck drop happens at 6 right here on 101 ESPN. Brady Tkachuk's Sens currently occupying 5th place in those Atlantic standings. NFL, Detroit routs Dallas 44-30, kicking off Week 14. Running back Jahmyr Gibbs hit pay dirt 3 times, adding 77 receiving yards. This Sunday, our noon matchup pits Indianapolis against Jacksonville about 21 hours from now. College conference championships taking center stage. BYU Texas Tech will precede Georgia, Alabama, plus Indiana, Ohio State. Your SportsCenter update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the E&B Granite Studios, you're tuned into BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. Let's run it back with a daily rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Lou, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you can go to find that. That is always sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
By the way, you can also get that wherever you get your podcast. So if you're an Apple guy, Spotify, whatever it may be, go ahead and check out the BK and Ferrario podcast over there. Subscribe to that. It'll immediately, anytime that a new podcast is sent out, it'll immediately go to your feed. You'll be ready to go with the latest edition. We put all of our interviews over there as well. Stuff's time-stamped. It's super easy to use, so check that out. You can also do the same thing for the Redbird Report. We would really appreciate that. The Last Minute Blues podcast as well. Again, wherever it is that you prefer to get your podcasts, we are there for you. The 101 ESPN app is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. All right, Alex, we finished the show where we began, which is with the St. Louis Blues. They lose last night 5-2. They play 2 games this weekend, one against the Montreal Canadiens. We'll see Zach Bolduc again, another in Ottawa. How are you feeling right now?
Not good. I mean, it's impossible to buy into this team. You know, you see 4 games to where it's like, okay, maybe, but, you know, they just keep laying duds. And, you know, the fact that we're still questioning effort tells me that this Blues team has a personnel problem. It's not a coach problem. It's not a front office problem. Don't fire the assistant coach because it does nothing. The players aren't willing to play the style that Jim Montgomery is asking them to if they want to win hockey games. So that's where this stands right now. So, yeah, I don't feel great. And, frankly, I don't know what is going to happen with the exception of some type of trade if Doug Armstrong can pull it off.
Yeah, I have no expectation of them turning this around. They don't have the offense to do it. Defensively, there's some questions. Their goaltending will get back to where it needs to be. I don't know if they got the offense. They don't have the horses. They don't have the star they can turn to and say, hey, carry us out of our funk. No, they need a group effort, and we're clearly questioning their effort.
We've got 2 weeks until we see the freeze for rosters. It'll be interesting to see if Doug Armstrong makes a statement, not with his words, but with his actions this time around. 2 weeks until we get to see that. As I mentioned, Blues play twice this weekend. Alex will have full coverage for you right here on your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. On Sunday, Mizzou is back in action, and Illinois is in action as well. Mizzou versus Kansas this weekend, the return of the border war. I'm not feeling optimistic about it personally. I do think that Kansas will find a way to win that one. On the other side of things, Illinois versus Tennessee tomorrow, T-Bone, tomorrow night. I'm guessing that's going to be what you're watching.
No, he's watching Duke and Virginia.
We got 4 screens rolling at my house.
How are you
probably.
feeling? Tennessee's a 2.5 point favorite in that one.
Yeah, but I can multi-split it. I'm not feeling good. I think Tennessee's going to play slow, and I think they're going to get to the basket where Illinois
is where T-Bone checks out on his team.
Yeah, this might be the game that breaks me, okay?
I thought UConn was going to be it, but this is the one that breaks him.
This might be the one.
No,
Tennessee's coming off a disappointing
early.
loss, too. They had a bad loss. I don't remember who it was against, but it was against a team outside the top 50 in net rating.
He was like on a scale of 1 to 10, 7 after that UConn game.
We said this after the Bama game. The Bama game is where it starts to set in, oh, my God, we have issues. Then you see it again exposed against UConn, and then finally he breaks when they go up against Tennessee. This is the spot.
And then bragging rights will be back on board with them.
Yeah, when they kill Mizzou, and then they'll lose their first 2 in Big Ten play.
Exactly the way that this goes. We gave you our thoughts on the college football slate a little bit earlier today. We gave you our picks as well. If you missed those, check them out on the podcast page or on youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. You can also find the latest edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast over there. We have a new edition of the Redbird Report there. Next week is the beginning of the winter meetings, so check those out here on BK BK and Ferrario will have all of the latest coverage. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. The Fast Lane's coming up next. By the way, huge shout out to Bradford Bruns, who did a fantastic job for us today back in the studio as well. You guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday here on 101 ESPN.
Give us your opinion on the Air Comfort Service heating, cooling, and insulation text line at 314-399-9646 on 101 ESPN.
Grid Francis with you, and BetMGM is now available in Missouri. Sports fans in Missouri can now sign up for BetMGM and get up to $1,500 paid back in bonus bets if their first bet loses. Enjoy a betting app that was designed for game day